Hello? Let's turn me out to myself. Give a second here. Ah, ah. Hello? Hello? I posted the link in the Google Hangouts room. Can you see that? Yeah, that's the second one. Do you see it? Okay, so yeah, you guys will have to go on that one after you're done here. Okay, I just posted it in the chat too. Yeah, it's just the one, not the first one I sent, the second one. Yeah, the second one. Yeah. I think you have to get off the one you're on right now and then jump on this one, I think. Yeah, yeah, you have to get off that one and you have to jump on to my stream. The second one, not the first one, the newest one I just sent in the chat. Yes, it's that one. Okay. Hey Gandalf. No. Hang on. Yeah, I'll post it in the chat in my channel. And I posted on Google Hangouts. The video you're just on right now. Okay. If you go to my channel, if you go to my channel, if you go to my channel, I just posted it in the chat. If that's easier for you. Yeah, it's just my name. It's just my name. John Vance. Jon Vance. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey Gandalf.
Gandalf. Got it. I'm in here.
Right. So what is it that you like to talk about today?
Let's see. Hopefully, the other gentlemen join us. We're just talking about the nature and the place of the movement. I mean, well, first of all, we should introduce each other. I consider myself someone who's. I had my birthday last month. I'm getting older.
Yep.
You know, I haven't been completely focused on getting wife and family, and Blormp's economy only creates gig jobs and soulless office culture jobs that won't let you be a single male breadwinner in a household anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really kind of made out to be a really good tradesman, so it's like I got to try something different. So I'm just talking to everybody and figuring out which way to go. And a little bit of life advice. We're kind of joking, having a good time. That's kind of where we've been lately.
Okay. What would you like to get out of life?
I'm now in my second half of my 30s, and I need a future for white children, and we need to make that happen. And it's a fucking tall ass order, because the ship is going down. Like this system's not going to hold together much longer. I just don't think so. I mean, I'd been saying since maybe about 2008 crisis, I was saying by 2020 this thing's going to come undone. And I look at everything that's going on now, and it's like I get people who remember me talking all what was considered crazy shit about politics back in 2009, 2010, when I was telling everybody at the end of this decade, shit's going to completely go to shit. I get people now who are from my earlier part of my life, from when I was in grad school doing all that stuff, who will send me emails or Facebook messages or whatnot saying, "You were right. Things are going nuts. We thought you were crazy when you thought the world was really going to collapse. We thought the economy would recover and be fine." It was like, there's a reason I told you all this was bunkum. But, people don't like to listen until it's too late. So there's my intro. What about you, sir? What about yourself?
Well, I don't know. I don't.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
Yellow.
Can you hear me? Shit. Hello?
I hear you fine, dude. I can hear you. I don't know if that's a problem with this phone or something, but I can hear you.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just has to mute and then unmute. I don't know what he has to do. But anyway, yeah, I basically, I don't know what I could really tell you. I've done some political activism. I'm from Canada, you could say. I'm kind of interested in different things other than just politics, but although politics, I would say, is probably one of my more primary passions, but I'm also passionate about other things too, like survivalism, environmentalism, kind of doing on the ground thing, and what I guess really got me into politics is not necessarily a racial issue. It was just the economics of our global capitalist system. Everything is unaffordable, even if you are a successful worker. You're just basically a slave to the state. And so I guess you could say I started leaning more leftwards, I guess, with my politics. Now, I'm not too proud of my past, but I mentioned this earlier in Clear Stream. I was actually, you could say, a libertarian socialist. And I did actually do some. I was anti-white in that I was against the liberal bourgeoisie. I have contempt for these people, even if they are the same skin color as me, because they're the biggest fucking racists in the world. They claim to care for minorities, but really it's just empty virtue signaling towards all their bourgeois buddies. And so I I got more, I guess, right leaning after the Trump election, and noted that nationalism is probably the best way to serve the working class as opposed to the international communism as well. I was getting kind of sick of the anti-white leftist stuff, and it was just very kind of how do you say masochist, masochist, yeah, masochist, and it it just turned me off, and I don't think you can really have a revolution of any sort with that mindset. All it really leads to is just suicide. So I'm just here now.
Well, that's similar to my thing. I'm a third positionist on economic issues. I'm soak the rich, get rid of the billionaires. On social issues, I guess I'm somewhat right wing. I mean, on abortion, rape and incest. It's like, I can't force a woman to have a rape baby. And on the gays, it's sort of like, what are we going to do? Kill them like Muslims and like go to the bathhouse in the red light district, and that solves that problem. And no homosexuality out in public, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, to the gay question, I would say that you need a religion that makes it unacceptable behavior in that it's not accepted in the wide society. I feel like Christianity has let us down and letting us fester.
Well, it's not
Or
about
society.
Christianity letting us down. It's about the subversion taking over us. I mean, Oscar Wilde was about as flaming a fag as you get, and even he was homosexuality to remain the love that dare not speak its name. And we need to just, if we adopt that mentality, we'll be fine. It's just like the purity spiraling we saw about issues like women, abortion, gays that went on in 2015, 2016, 2017, even into 2018. That's a legacy of just the fact that all of us grew up with the religious right, discussing all of these things in the culture wars from a certain perspective, when in reality, those are minor issues. The point is just to keep them on the side where they're not distracting us from getting to where we need to go.
Well, what do you think you need to do institutionally to gain some sort of power? Like, what's your plan to gaining power?
Falcon and I have been talking about it quite a bit, but I think we have to develop networks where we're going to do barter with some kind of Bitcoin or similar crypto type stuff, and we might need some way to communicate. You know, there are methods of communication on the internet that are more distributed in P2P as well than just like using what we're using now. And I think we have to develop strategies to keep all that going, because I think my own personal view of what's coming up, and I mean, if you look at what's going on in financial markets, it's correct. I think we're going to have a major, major recession by 2020. Before
What?
that,
So you want to make communities off of this Bitcoin or alternative energy that's maybe you could say tied to a natural resource as opposed to the global empire of the United States?
probably, yeah, that's probably our only way. It's the only way I can think of it. I mean, part of, if you're talking to me now, I'm a bit tired, so I'm not going to be as lucid as I was a few hours ago. I've stayed up for quite a bit.
Okay.
Because I hold these conversations all the time. I mean, I just try to talk to everybody. I'm pushing the pedal to the floor because the sense of urgency, my spidey senses are up. I just know shit's happening. Like the sense of inner danger. I mean, I'm very stable. I'm very sane. I mean, I take care of myself as best I can. I mean, I'm using my savings right now. I'm looking to get some passive income eventually, and I have to because I need to write a couple books, get some deeper ideas out there, plan for the future. But I definitely think we got a banking crisis coming up within about a year. Are you pretty familiar with like global geopolitical and financial affairs, correct?
Somewhat, yeah.
Well, since the last depression, and they don't call 2008 a depression. It was a depression. It was not a recession. In fact, we're still in it. But the one thing that is the one financial event that predicts a major recession, if not also a financial crisis to make it worse, is an inversion of the Treasury yield curve. You know, usually a longer term bond is supposed to, fetch a higher yield than a shorter term bond, right? Because the time value of money adds risk to the asset. That makes sense?
Sorry, could you say that again? I was just a little bit distracted.
So normally the largest financial market in the world that matters for like the currency and the banking system is the US Treasury market, okay?
Yeah.
So normally a Treasury market is controlled by the bonds that people are buying and exchanging.
Okay.
All right. So longer-term bonds should bring a greater return than shorter-term bonds. After all, they need to compensate you for the risk of holding an asset for 30 years as opposed to 1 year, correct?
Yeah, but doesn't our system offer that already?
Well, it should always offer that. What happens when the treasury market turns around and it's cheaper to hold a 30-year note than a 1-year note?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is you have lower interest rates, so that encourages consumer consumption as opposed to savings.
Well, and why are people looking to consume so quickly? I mean, that the market would change that dramatically, and the treasury curve would invert. Look up treasury curve inversion and look at the pictures. If you Google it on your own computer, you'll see it. Treasury yield curve inverts, or something like that. You'll see it. You see exactly what I'm talking about. A picture will help you. I'm trying to explain it the best I can. But this is why economics textbooks have graphs and pictures, and I'm just talking.
Treasury
Yield curve inversion. Ooh.
Yeah. I can screen share this too if you like.
You should. People should know that this happened in February. I follow the financial markets. I mean, I probably can't do the really advanced mathematics behind it, but I can follow all the graphs and I know what happens. I watch it like a hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I know global affairs. I mean, it should be someone who does it. Yeah.
Is this what?
Inverted yield curve.
Let's see. These images.
A partial inversion. Okay. Wait. Go. That. Yeah. Hit that in. Yeah. Screenshot that whole thing. Well, screenshot the text too. Put the text. Go back one page.
Okay.
Screenshot that part where it describes that. Yeah.
Okay. A partial inversion occurs when some of the short-term treasury, 5 to 10 years, have higher yields than 30-year treasuries. An inverse yield curve predicts lower interest rates in the future as longer-term bonds are demanded, sending the yields down. Okay.
Yeah. When that happens, and it happens sharply, it happens in February. That's since the Great Depression of the 1930s. That has predicted every subsequent recession within 3 or 4 quarters. It's never failed. It's the one. And it is the most important financial indicator of the stability of like the currency markets, because the U.S. currency is sold in treasury bonds.
Okay.
Now, do you think a lot of people have different theories on like the end times prophecies, and they have signs, and I've heard of different theories about the stock market crashing, and
stock markets and recessions happen all the time. They happen every 5 to 7 years. We're overdue for a major one, because we've had, at least at the mathematical level, we've had the best economy ever. And of course, Donald Trump will tell you that every single fucking day. And mathematically, he's correct, but he's just using the government statistics that are fed to him every day, and then he retweets them.
Right.
And those things increasingly bear no relation to reality anyway.
They don't necessarily measure employment properly. They
purposely don't.
Yeah.
What was the connection you were trying to make with? You said something about end times prophecies there. Is there a connection to that with what's going on?
Yeah, I'm just saying is like a lot of people like to predict when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen, and there's of course a lot of other people that for religious reasons, like religious and social economical reasons, on why it's going to happen, and the coming Messiah is going to come. Like I connect that with people who try to predict a collapse with using the inversion curve or the stock
I
market. It seems like nobody really knows when it's going to happen. The only thing you can really guarantee when it's going to happen is when the grid goes down. So to me, this, like, you can always reset the economy, so it's not really that big of a deal. It'll only be a big deal once, you know, electricity comes out and no one has any hot water or any electricity, especially in the Midwest. That's when it's going to be a big deal.
Do you know why we're always talking about those things?
About what?
Do you know why we're always talking about things like that? I mean, really, end time prophecy,
things are not getting any better. But I mean, like, how long do you need to talk about it before you offer solutions?
Well, here's the thing. Like what I'm getting at is the reason why we're always talking about that shit is because people secretly want them to happen. Because everybody knows that there's a problem with the system. Even a lot of your normie evangelical Christians, they at least know something's wrong. However, they don't ever look at what's going on because, well, you know, when I've studied normie Christians, you know, that are dedicated to being Christians, but don't want to know anything about what's going on in the world, it's kind of got to do with because they know something's wrong, but they understand that for them to fix it themselves, they would have to give up a ton of shit. They would have to sacrifice and put their shit on the fucking line, and they really don't want to have to do that.
Yeah, but do you really think these people are really prepared for an apocalypse?
Oh, well, like, of course
like,
not.
Really, like, even the muscle men that are really jacked, they're dependent, just as dependent upon the grid as the 150-pound beta male. Liberal shit
I'm not saying that at all. No, I'm not saying that they're prepared for an apocalypse, but here's the thing. It's hard to prepare for you know, from my perspective anyway, it's very difficult to prepare for an apocalypse while trying to be a revolutionary. It's almost next to impossible to do the same things at the same time.
Yes, but shouldn't you have a backup plan?
Well, plan for plan for what? Okay, let's, you know, I'm into changing the government. Okay, I'm into revolutionary shit. Yep. So okay, well, what do you mean what do you mean by backup plan? If I'm unable to do that and the world just continues to suck,
like a headquarters, like some sort of headquarters where your tribe.
The problem with that's like anybody who's into revolutionary stuff. Well, I'll tell you right now, you do not stockpile guns. You want to know somebody that's serious and understands stuff about being a revolutionary? He does not stockpile firearms. Nope, he doesn't buy land. He doesn't do any of those things. That is somebody that's doing that and claiming to be revolutionary is not a revolutionary, or he doesn't know enough.
He's a prepper who has the mindset of a Glenn Beck.
Yeah, I mean, there's a big difference. Being a revolutionary and into, you know, revolution, all that, and prepping, those two are not even connected. They're totally separate from each other.
What is the revolution that you were proposing here? I don't think I've heard your case yet.
Okay. Well, I'll try to sum it up in short.
Sure.
Without going into a lot of detail, and keep in mind, this is a very nuanced, or not nuanced. This is just like the broad strokes. I see that we're under a white genocide, and I want to stop it from happening. And I understand the only way that's going to happen is if people like myself and like-minded have power. And they have to have power over a significant enough portion of land that encompasses a minimum of 1 million of my people and has at least one deep water port.
You really going to think you're going to encourage 1 million people to go on your side?
No, I don't have to. The enemy is doing it for me. I don't need 1 million people to get it started. I could find 1 million. If I had something like that to offer, 1 million white people would be there in a heartbeat. They would be there over fucking night. They're dying for something like that. The problem is getting 1,000 core people to come together in one area to help get it started. Eventually, right now, the greatest recruiter white nationalism has ever had, especially in the last 5 years, is the enemy themselves. The enemy themselves have done more to friggin' send people to our side than we ever could have in 10 years of posting videos online.
They stopped being slow and steady. They started getting
Reckless and
on the
fast.
second term. They started getting a little bit rattled. You know what I think rattled the enemy quite a bit? I think about it a lot. Obama's overtures to Iran really freaked out the enemy on many layers.
I don't know if it got them rattled. It made them, I don't know. I think what it is this generation of radicals doesn't want to end up like Henry Kissinger. It's like earlier I said, I'd really not like not to have to be in the position where I spend my whole life trying to achieve this and die before I get to see it. Like, Harold Covington, Bob Whitaker, William Luther Pierce, all these guys. I mean, they're great men. It's just terrible all the work they put in that they didn't have a chance to see it. I would love to see it before I die, but that's the price of being a revolutionary, being into this kind of thing, especially white nationalism, is you might work your whole fucking life and might never see success while being persecuted by the very people you're trying to save. It's just the nature of the beast. However, the current group, it seems like the enemy is like, they don't want to end up like Henry Kissinger. They look at like Henry Kissinger and all those guys like, fuck, they worked their whole lives and didn't get to see this liberal fucking utopia that they want to build, which is our version of a hell, and so they're rushing to try to do it as fast as they can. They want to hurry up and make it happen.
Yeah, Henry Kissinger is no liberal utopian, though. I don't know why you mentioned Kissinger. I mean, I actually
Kissinger's a Jew, and Kissinger's into. I just use liberal utopia as freaking basically, their version of a nightmare. What we're trying to stop, what the enemy wants in their end game, we don't want. Who cares what it is?
Homo, you mean?
Okay, fine. You can call it that. Whatever it is, we don't want it. You want to call that? That's fine. Just all I'm saying is we don't want what they want, and it's in our best interest to stop them.
Now, don't you think you're a prepper in that you're wanting to get a currency, a different currency?
Are you talking to me or him?
You, I guess.
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm not. I don't see what he's saying as a solution. Not at all.
What? No. Hold on a second. My whole thing is when the next financial crisis happens. If you look at like all the derivatives in the system, the weakness of the U.S. industrial base being gone, and China's rise, particularly if Trump loses this trade war, which that could go anywhere, and the fact that the Federal Reserve, look, you read the thing about the inverted yield curve. It's a sign that the interest rates need to go down. Can the interest rates go down anymore? Not really. I mean, they raised the rates like 25 or 50 basis points, and like it freaked everybody out.
Why are you stressing about this so much, though? Like, they can always reset the economy. I mean, look at the housing prices. They had them inflated and then they got deflated. So
yeah,
I mean, it's a cycle. Basically, it'll just deflate again.
And lots of people get thrown out of their homes. Lots of businesses close, and because the bankers control everything and won't do like debt forgiveness, poverty increases a lot. And a lot.
He wants the same thing. He wants the same thing as the people that want freaking, zombie apocalypses or other countries.
I don't want that. I don't. I want cares for it.
No. What I'm saying is the reason why you want it is because it would destabilize the enemy system and actually present an opportunity for friggin' people like us to win, to beat them.
Yeah. And they'll have a much harder time this time instituting a recovery and successfully restabilizing the situation than they were able to do in 2008, 2009 when Obama walked in there.
What about what they did in the Depression?
That's not going to be possible now because the economy is changing toward an automation economy. If anything, if there's a major financial crisis, they're going to put the pedal to the metal to just automate everything, and hopefully, everyone's going to save costs, because everything these businesses do is not about, we need to expand the consumer base and make sure people have money. People are going to be bent on how do I control my costs, because that's easier from like a game theory perspective for individual firms or organizations to do.
Game theory? Has this worked?
Game theory is basically, it's a way of explaining the way actors operate in a complex environment where they can't control the other players, which is what a lot of the economy actually is.
Is it actually, can you integrate it into reality, or is it just supposed to be speculation? Is there any like room of error for this theory?
Well, game theory can be used to analyze lots of things. Let me give you a real world example of how this actually works. Okay. So factory A and factory B and factory C all make the same widget. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they all are, human workers. The cost to the as the workforce ages and like health and the healthcare costs go up, the A, B, and C all at their various factories are like, damn, it's getting more expensive to keep these employees. They're getting older. Their health insurance keeps going up, and the younger workers, well, they're just too dumb to do these jobs, and I don't want to retrain these people. So why don't I just put robots instead? And let's say factory B beats factory A and factory C in doing it. Well, all of a sudden their costs go way down and their profit goes way up, and that forces A and C to rapidly automate too, and then everyone's out of a job all at once in that sector. And that dynamic will play out everywhere.
I don't know. Like, you need consumers. You need people with disposable income.
I know you need that. I know you need that. Is the system going to be focused on that? I don't think so. They don't show a willingness to talk about it at the system level.
I don't know. Like what is China doing right now with their economy? In that they're trying to take over some key geopolitical spots that the U.S. has right now for trade, and also wanting to build the Silk Road to Israel in order to be the next power.
Silk Road to Israel is one branch. There's another branch that goes all the way up to Berlin and Moscow too. The one belt, right. One road is one belt, many roads.
Right, and that will starve the West economically.
Correct.
Because we shipped out all of our factories. So,
correct.
So what are people going to do?
Now, Falcon. Now you see why I've thought about this quite a bit. Like, you just look at all the trends. See, I don't follow economic numbers, and then take them out of context, because fiat currency and what happens to that isn't the only thing that goes on in an economy. You have to look at an economy much more three-dimensionally in terms of like networks and supply and all this other stuff, which is stuff you don't read on like Prepper. Oh, the national debt is so high and the stock market's going to crash and everything's falling apart. Who cares about the fucking, treasury markets, all that other stuff beyond just like, can they be stable enough to?
My issue with your plan to achieve power, because that's what it is. A plan to achieve power is not with your theory on the things that can occur and how it's not at all. My issue with it is 100% dependent on the enemy making a mistake. And that's my problem with it, is that it's dependent on the enemy doing something. And every time that we do that, and every plan that involves the enemy having to do something before we can do something, it's not good, because the enemy's plan is to waste our time. That's what they're doing. That's what their plan is, to get us to sit down. That's why they're always behind all of these. I mean, what does Alex Jones talk about? I mean, he's obviously a shill, but what does he talk about all the time? He talks about the economy's going to collapse. People are going to, all these things that are all about, hey, wait, you don't need to risk anything today, because the enemy's going to do something, so somebody else will fix it tomorrow. You don't need to risk anything today.
That's not my position. Financial crises happen all the time, no matter what.
But you're talking about a financial crisis that is so bad it will destabilize the system.
Well, yeah,
I think
because
that's
if you look at economic history, okay, and the system long term, every 4 generations, it has a major hiccup. One
But that doesn't
causes.
mean that it
Hang
can
on.
stabilize the system. I mean, an
Hang on here.
economic crisis at the level you're talking
What actually? We're missing the point here. What actually destabilizes the system? It's actually a foreign tribe conquesting another tribe. You look at the fall of Rome, or the fall of even I guess you could say the Third Reich. What was it? What made them collapse? It was conquest. Like the Third Reich was an economic powerhouse, for God's sakes, but that didn't stop them for coming collapse. So this idea of like mentally masturbating over numbers just seems kind of beta, honestly.
I'm not masturbating over numbers. I'm looking at dynamics.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm kind of interested. Like I took statistics in post secondary, so I mean, like I don't mind talking about numbers at all. But I mean, what I really want to talk about is I want to talk about conflicts and conquest and what actually drives a civilization, as opposed to numbers on a sheet that can always be reset.
Well, that's why we're talking dynamics, because we're in the middle of a spiral of decline. So we need to deal with this.
So, do you think people would be attracted to somebody who likes to talk about numbers and figures, or do you think somebody would be more attracted to a charismatic figure who has a good head on his shoulders?
This is the question of our time. I personally think, my position on the 2020 election is Yang Gang. I want my fucking $1,000 a month.
You just you sound like a merchant. I'm getting more degenerate talking to you.
No, my relation to the political system has got nothing to do with my own feeling about anything.
Are you Jewish? Are you Jewish?
No, the political system is something about which I just take shit from. Fuck the political system.
Well, dude, you're just talking about the political. I mean, the Yang Gang shit. I mean, dude, you're talking about using the same system to fix the problem, and I'm saying that's the whole problem.
I don't take Yandu Yang seriously. Candidates are memes. The memes around Yang are the best memes about any candidate. So I support him for that reason.
We're talking about power here. We're talking about achieving power.
Of course. Politics is also a meta-political dimension.
Okay.
There are many dimensions
on finances and how that can achieve it. And, okay.
Yes.
Any other ideas?
Well, the questions you raised on our previous stream have me, and plus my general exhaustion, are making me just think very carefully right now.
Read this. 50 Laws to Power. Good book. Highly recommended.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah, it's a great book.
I don't know. At the same time, you want to talk about, I mean, what happens in history? History is about the tides. People try to predict history, and it's not the way people think. It's all about the tides of history. All men like Hitler, Mussolini. Think about all the leaders that just popped out of nowhere. They rose with the tides of history. They were just in a position to be ready for it when it happened, so they were able to get on top of the wave and surf it out. And when you look at it, what is our conditions in America, or at least at most white nations right now? What are they closest to throughout history? On a cultural level, not a financial level, on a cultural level, I would say we're fairly similar in most white nations, especially here in America, to Germany after World War I. And once again, I'm saying culturally, not financially.
Although the two are more linked than you think. Why America is what we are. Why America?
Well, I'm not saying they're not linked. I'm just saying that culturally we're close to it. Because what are we? You know, why is it? What was Germany at that time? Germany was a nation who really just lost its ass when they didn't think they lost their ass. They were kind of sitting there going, why are we getting the shitty into this? Fuck, we didn't lose our, they didn't really accept the idea that, they had lost the war. And they don't think they should have been fucked as bad as they were by their leaders. And they didn't really feel like those were their leaders anyway. They didn't feel connected to their leaders. They were like, these guys show up. It was a transitional time within the nation. They just had a king, then that guy's deposed, and this other government's in. This other government make a lot of decisions that's fucked them for years. So it was kind of a mess. They felt really detached from their government, and they felt under siege by, they had communists running around everywhere. They were starting all these trouble, and they didn't know which side to be leaning on because the state was the enemy and the communists were the enemy.
Goodness gracious! Do you take a breath between sentences?
Sorry, dude. I didn't mean to do that to you. I apologize.
Damn.
No, but dude, like Falcon, you forgot. Like, you got to remember, like, the communists took over several cities in 1919 and 1920, and the communist gang that took over Munich killed several thousand people. People forget this.
I know this.
It took other people don't know this, but it took the what was it called, the Freikorps, to actually shoot and kill all of them. One of the leaders was Rosa Luxemburg, and they had to fucking take her out of power. I mean, a Jewish woman was one of the 2 or 3 leaders of the communist rebellion. I mean, this is important to remember. So when Hitler would talk about Jews all the time in Mein Kampf, I mean, the public was aware as well. I mean, people at that period in time weren't, as dumb about Jews as, Americans were up until 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, but do you honestly think that the military is sympathetic, the U.S. military is sympathetic towards protecting the nation United States, or you think they're more devout to defending the American empire?
Pause.
I think they're good little order followers, and they're going to do what they're told. That's what I think.
Yeah. Like, you have to understand, like, the German character, their soldier, was a lot different than the American one. So trying to have part of, I guess, having a revolution, or I guess gaining power at least, is you have to have the military. And if you don't have the military, it's kind of pointless. Really.
Well, not necessarily.
If you're America, if you're America, yes. If you're Canada, well, that's a different story.
Well, here's the thing: like, how did Germany gain power?
Justin Trudeau's dick. Is that the military now?
What? Canada doesn't have a military. They still have old World War II weapons in their military.
Oh,
they buy used planes from Australia. It's quite embarrassing.
Are you on
Germany at the time had a very pathetic military.
Yeah, but they were defanged by treaties.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is
I would say, hang on, that's actually I think a wrong way to judge a military solely on that. You have to judge their character at the time too.
Okay, well,
and their character was so strong. They still did a lot of practice. They still did a lot of drills, even when they didn't have the equipment. The equipment was unnecessary. They knew it was going to. They knew they were going to get back. They're waiting for a nationalist takeover to come over, right? They knew they were going to get back. They're ready. Their mindset was ready, and then when it came, they took advantage of it. Do you think we really have the mindset today to take advantage to when history can allude to a hyper-nationalist cause? Do you really think that? I don't think so.
Look at the recent reactions. Look at the recent reactions. People are pissed off. I mean, the white nationalism has never seen a bigger resurgence in people than they have recently. There's a reason why they're having a freaking meetings in Congress talking about white nationalism, because everyone's talking about it. Everyone's up about it. Everyone's pissed off. I mean, why did Alex Jones get kicked off YouTube? He got kicked off of YouTube because we were dominating the comment section of the videos, and they need people to be in the freaking cave of confusion. People were just coming awake to a racial issue too fast. They don't mind them waking up a little bit, but coming to us, that's a problem. They're actively afraid of pro-white nationalists, national socialists. I mean, the enemy persecutes those guys more than anyone else, and they have been doing it the whole time. And people were just
why do you guys cling on to a German national socialist that happened 75 years ago? Like, don't you have your own American identity to spring onto, or is that at fault as well? Like, this seems like just really, I don't know. It's
Well,
like
here's the issue, man, is what are we up against?
you don't really understand
Fergie,
fascism,
yeah.
is what I'm
Well,
saying.
no. I don't think you understand the enemy. Well, who are you up against? What are we fighting? What are we fighting? What's coming? What are we fighting? Who is the
I
enemy?
don't think you really understand yourself or your people.
Well, no, hold on.
I mean, we're
How about
making a
just
bunch of
everyone hear
accusations
each
at each
other out?
other. Well, yeah, let's figure. Okay, give me your definition of the enemy. What are we fighting against?
Get 'em.
I
I mean, do you not think we're fighting against anything? Do you not think we have an enemy?
Sun Tzu, know your enemy more than yourself.
That's right. But hey, Vance, are you on the west or central or east coast of Canada?
shut up, Fed.
Yeah, I got you, man. I just I'm trying to. I know you're not on the west. I can tell by your accent, but yeah, and you're probably not on the east. I'm guessing you're in the central area. So
There we
just
go.
above,
We'll go with
just above
that.
Michigan,
Sure.
Michigan area. Yeah. All right.
Central.
Yeah, central Canada.
You got your notes? You got your notes to give to the bosses? Let's continue.
I'm getting them, man. I'm getting them, buddy. No, you're all right, man. Falcon and
Well, you ask
the
this
other
question
guy
every
here.
week, Cracker Jack, and everyone calls you out in the chat for it. So I thought
I
it'd be
know
pretty
they
funny
do,
on
man.
it.
It's okay, dude.
You ask,
No,
you
I just
ask
like to guess
everybody the same
accents.
goddamn question.
I just like to guess accents.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
When I meet somebody in person, if I really want to learn about them, I'll give them that. You know, knowing where you're from and what your background is a good indicator of the type of conversation you would have somebody.
Who
Oh,
you
yeah, I
are?
mean, that's
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mentioned
just
I
on the
moved to
internet, yeah,
Canada.
it's a little
West
weird,
Coast,
especially
and you're
within white
completely against.
nationalism guys. Yeah, that's it's weird, but fuck.
If you're
By the
East
way,
Coast
I'm the most
Canada,
German man here. I'm 80% German, by the way.
that's cool for you. But I'm saying, like, my mother's East Coast, like, Quebecois and stuff, like Quebec and Montreal, and they're very virulent against
Angles?
the like the English aristocracy and whatnot, and the West Coast is just all super paused, right? And then the middle, like the central part of Canada, right on along the border, is more like we don't know. But but I'm telling you, like the East Coast is more like fuck this fucking bullshit, you know, or and I don't want to sound like a Quebecoian right now, but the way I draw my words out, but
Mm.
we but
Qu'avez-vous, je
we're
parle
very much
François?
against
Qu'avez-vous, je parle François, Cracker Jack?
very little, man. I'll return to that with Spanish and say muy poquito.
Yeah,
So
shit. I'm taking like Rosetta Stone French classes, and I've been kind of fading away that a little bit. But yeah, no, I know a little bit of French, but not
like
too much.
donnez-moi tête s'il vous plaît, means give me head, please. So
How about Emmanuel Macron fucks
You look like
Caribbean
the kind of guy
boys?
that would trick a buddy of yours into walking up to French people and
Yeah.
saying that, dude. I could see you doing some shit like that. I'm sorry, dude. I interrupt
Me?
you. I apologize.
But yeah, that's fine. I don't care about being poked on. What because you know my daddy is in the CIA after all. What I just wanted to know what area of Canada, you know, like
Central.
I see. I guessed it right. I guessed it
A lot
right.
of shit going on in Alberta,
Right.
by the way.
He's
Alberta.
got to supply so much information, or he don't get fucking paid, dude. You got to give him something. And fuck, dude. He's got
That's
wife,
right.
he's got kids, he's got all this
Canada's
other
a big
shit, dude.
place.
Come on, don't fuck the
What am
man.
I
Give him
supposed to
something.
tell him? Probably
Okay.
doesn't know. He can't even probably can't even point it out on a map where I'm from.
Alberta
Give him the
is
longitude.
really
Give him the
interesting.
longitude. That would help.
No,
Yeah.
Alberta is.
North of the 49th parallel. Does that help?
Dude,
How
that
about-
Yeah,
how
that
about-
does
gotta
help.
be too
That
good.
does
How
help
about
quite
I
a bit.
mention something? I want to steer the conversation back to our Canadian Canuck friend. Alberta is really interesting right now. What's going on with the oil politics up there? I'm wondering what people are thinking. Go ahead.
Sure, that's a good question. Basically, what they want is a separation from the government of Ottawa because the Alberta right now is not getting the full price on the barrel of oil. They're only actually getting $10 on the barrel for the oil right now.
Whoa, wait.
So
Are you
they
talking
feel like
$10 a barrel? Is it that low?
yeah, it's that low.
Do they
You're
actually pump
fucking
oil?
shitting me.
No, that
We would
province.
shit ourselves if we knew how they're fucking us on fucking oil and everything else. I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
You know, I'm just opening up another window here,
Mhm.
and I'm just looking at the oil prices up there. But that is fucking unbelievable because that is the tar sands oil, and that is really expensive oil. I mean, even if you like use the best technology, period, ever. I mean, you have to have oil prices that are close to $100 a barrel,
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
to get.
you have to keep in mind the government takes a lot of that, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what the province is getting out of it. $10 in the market because the government is incompetent in opening it up to different markets to trade with. So the government's really bad at negotiating prices on the market. So that's why they get screwed all the time. So Albertans are thinking, well, maybe if we separate, we have our own government and we deal with our own natural resources, we can actually get a better price. It's kind of fascinating in Canada. Like Canada has really only become a nation because of the railway. Like especially like the western part. John Diefenbaker actually he made a promise that he was going to unite Canada from west to east and impede American colonialism from going up north. And so what he did is he had to build a railway to make it economically feasible for all provinces to unite under one confederation. And what he did basically, yeah, we had to go from BC, so we had to use like Chinese labor to blow out all the tunnels in the mountains so they can go through, and then we built it through Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and that's our railway. And the railway goes through pretty much any city in Canada that's above a population of 30,000. It's gone through there.
As much shit as you Canadians get on stuff, when it comes to actually getting shit done with your men, I got to give you credit on that. Even in the militarily, you guys were always pretty good on the fucking field. You guys were always a force to be reckoned with. I got to give you that.
You
I mean,
smoking.
we sent the greatest general of the greatest general within the revolution during the Revolutionary War up there, and yeah, he got his ass kicked. That was he was our best general. We sent him up there to take you down, and he he burned himself out on the walls of your city.
Do you guys want to hear a story? You probably hate me for telling you this.
Tell a story.
But don't forget,
I will tell you a story. So, do you know why you guys have a White House?
Go for it, dude.
Michigan has quite a few lighthouses.
Yeah, it's because the Canadians burnt it down after we won the War of 1812.
You mean White House? I heard you say this before.
You guys lost. Wait a second. Now, I do know we tried to take your Canada again, and we got our ass kicked in 2000 and the War of 1812. I know that happened, but I thought it was
we psyched you out. We psyched you out. One of the tactics we did is we built a whole bunch of fires, and we disguised it like we had a bigger army than we actually had.
Just like Indians.
You guys were apprehensive cucks, and we just rampaged you.
Yeah.
Took over your White House.
Yeah, but it wasn't you. It was with you and the English who were controlled by the
English, the Native Americans.
That's right.
Yeah.
My great
grandfather
fought against the in the French and Indian War. I think it was 1812 or 1820, and he was held prisoner. 18 what?
1812 was the Upper Canada and Lower Canada. 1820 might have been in Quebec. There's some scuffles with the natives and the French.
Motherfucking grandfathers, man, Jean Baptiste Cyr.
Oh, okay, you're talking. Okay, yeah, that might have been 1820. Yeah.
Yeah, he was held prisoner in the British POW camp
Hmm.
and fought against the British. And
Yeah.
other than that, I'm quarter Irish and a quarter Prussian.
Baptiste, isn't that the one that was held by the British and then bounced out, recaptured again? And I mean, didn't he kill himself later in life? But he lived a pretty wild fucking life. I think I've heard the history of that guy before.
No, he didn't kill himself, man. He had like 20 fucking kids, man. We're all good.
Okay,
here.
then I'm thinking of a different guy. I apologize. This guy had no other kids. All right, I
A lot of Well,
Yeah.
another thing,
But he
Canadian
fought
military-
against the British, though. He fought against the British. And you're talking about John Vance is bringing up a White House thing, and that is when they were with the British. And it's much later.
We're still with the British.
I'm about to say,
Yeah,
you guys
you
are
are.
quite
Yeah,
free.
you're totally like
We're celebrating Victoria Day this weekend.
Euro
Jolly good
cucks,
fellow.
man. What
I
about
I have like a thing with like Claire's accent. It's like a subconscious like.
Uh-huh. What
Like,
do you think
I don't
about the
Actually, I
Oliver
still hear that
Cromwell?
accent in Canada too.
Oliver Cromwell, 1654. Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think about him? What did he do for England?
Oliver Cromwell. I'm not educated on the matter. I apologize.
he let the Jews back
Die
in.
brutally.
That's right.
He let the Jews back in.
Into
Cromwell
power.
was one
to
of the worst
political
things that ever
power.
happened.
Oh, Oliver.
Cromwell.
Oliver Cromwell
Cromwell,
let
okay, hang on.
the Jews back in.
Okay.
Like 1654, 56, maybe.
Somewhere in the
Jewish.
1650s, he
Yeah.
let the Jews.
And he let him into political power to change laws.
Yes.
There you go. And then here we go with the French and Indian War, say 1812, between 1812 and 1820.
Yeah, we got to take credit for that. Washington pretty much started the French and Indian War. Actually, Washington was a fucking jackass for a general. So yeah, we're gonna have to own that one. Yeah, that was.
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
Washington was not such a great general. Hate to say it. I'm not with the patriotards where I jerk off to the founding fathers.
I mean, shit, the greatest general we had in the revolution was Benedict Arnold. Let's be honest with ourselves. Who actually had talent and was good at it? It was Benedict Arnold. He was the greatest general.
And the war was going terribly, and he decided to switch sides.
That's right.
Well, that's not why he decided to switch sides. When you actually look at what they did to him, fuck, dude. I'm not saying he should have, and he's still a traitor, but I kind of get it. I get it. He was fucked. He kept getting fucked. He kept constantly getting passed over for shit. He never got. I mean, the victory we had at I want to say it was Ticonderoga. No, not Ticonderoga. I can't think of it now, but if I can think of it, it's a famous battle. It was because of him. Yeah, Saratoga. That victory was because of Arnold. He never got no fucking credit for it whatsoever. Nothing. I mean, they shit on the guy constantly. So, I mean, I get it. It was wrong what he did, but I understand why he did it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, one thing about the Canadian military I wanted to bring up, because we're the World War II guy. When they were penetrating the Atlantic Wall defenses in France, the Americans and the British decided, let's try out a raid. And guess what they used? They used a Canadian Airborne Division, attacked Dieppe, a French town closer to Calais than Normandy. And they lost I don't know, was it 5,000 Canadian soldiers in one day? But when they tried to do a cross-channel raid, and they just totally wasted their lives because they didn't even plan the raid. They just treated the Canadian soldiers like fucking nothing.
Yeah, that's the thing is the Canadian military is overblown on its effectiveness. A lot of Canadian patriotards would like to go back to the good old days when we had really insane fighters, but really the insane fighters were on the other side. They weren't on the Anglo side at all. The only reason why the Anglos won their half of Europe is because of their distribution of resources in the democracy just overpowered the Germans. And I guess the Germans kind of overextended themselves a little bit. So that's why they're a little bit vulnerable. So they could still take them by force. They don't necessarily have to, be so dependent upon having superior tactics like the Germans had. But the Germans were still pretty stubborn, and they still had that mentality, like they didn't want to quit even on the last days in Berlin. They were still fighting to the death. And so that just goes to show you how superior German military culture is to Anglo.
Yeah, it was quite impressive. I don't deny that. What the Germans were able to accomplish and hold off. I mean, the whole world came down on them. The whole world came down.
Well, the other thing about the Germans is that, you know, and Spengler talks about this in like his 1917 book, Prussianism and Socialism, is that, you know, Germany had created such an extremely cohesive culture for its working classes in the generations before the Nazi period. I mean, Bismarck and the Germans, industrial production kept soaring during the Depression that hit most of the world economy in the 1880s because the Germans created social insurance, whereas the British just let's let the free market do everything. The Germans did not have huge labor strikes and huge problems. I mean, it prevented a Marxist revolution in Germany because Engels would talk about it. The working class doesn't want to revolt because the government's taking care of them. You know, the Bismarck was smart. He was a great statesman, and the German, and because the state was taking care of its workers, the workers repaid the state with lots of loyalty, and German industrial production just exploded. Germany, by the turn of the 20th century, was set to overtake England and become the powerhouse of Europe. And, well, that's the balance of power issues between Britain and late Wilhelmite Germany. Well, that's one of the deeper causes of World War I, and the financiers, our Jewish friends, wanted to take advantage of that.
You know,
tell me if I got my history right.
Have you ever read his biography or anything really about his life? Said you read a lot.
I read a book by Jonathan. The last Bismarck biography I read was a couple years ago. It was Jonathan Steinberg book, which is a pretty decent one. I haven't read. I should read some older ones. The next political biography I have out in front of me at my desk is Tim Pat Coogan's Eamon de Valera.
Do you remember reading a story about him whenever he was, whenever they were having those arguments? He was probably in his young life, and anyway, he had just come back getting into politics. He's still a pretty young guy, and I forget what it was, but something was happening where he wanted to get into the city because he thought that the socialists, the reformers, were holding the king hostage. So he's like, I need to get the king, like, sent out some telegram requesting for some assistance. Well, there was kind of an overreaction. And so what does Bismarck do? He's like lord of this little town. I got to give the guy credit. He's kind of like I said earlier with the, if we need to deport people, it's real easy. We'll just go load them into trucks and we'll do it. Bismarck's like, oh, you need an army? No problem. So he just goes down to the armory, opens it up, grabs a bunch of the peasants in the area, all these regular citizens, hands them all shotguns and says, okay, come on, we're marching into town. Like he's fucking launching a papal army in the Crusades or something. Yeah, and I just thought it was fucking funny because he gets down the roads and runs into a military convoy and they're like, okay, would you please take these guns out of these people's hands? We got this. No, we're okay. And then the story when he got caught trying to sneak into the city with a fake beard on, but everybody recognized him because they could just tell who he was. I don't know. I just like funny stories.
What city was this that he did this in?
He did it in Germany.
What city in Germany? Do you remember?
Oh God, I can't. It was the one that he was in charge. If you just look up, if you read in the book, you just look up he was only considered in charge of this one town. He was given, I can't repeat what the royal
remember
title.
Off the top of my head either. I'm actually really tired. Am I doing pretty well for someone who's really fucking exhausted by memory recall?
My great grandfather served under Bismarck and King William I in West Prussia, and lived in the Königsberg Castle before it was burned down. And yeah, I know all about it. So go on.
Oh, that's interesting. Moltke was an unappreciated guy in history. Moltke was a hell of a general. That guy was a fascinating military mind. But anyway, I mean, I was just bringing that up. I like goofy stories or stupid shit about history.
Moltke's uncle worked with Clausewitz.
I believe that. Yeah. I think people, whenever they look at generals in World War II, I think Rommel's like overrated. I think
He's
Yodel
way
was a
overrated.
fascinating
Way
character.
overrated. Monstein
Yeah,
was the best general they had operationally. Monstein was far better than Rommel.
I think Yodel was unappreciated. Man, they used to call him Hitler's fireman. That guy, you could throw him at any fucking problem and he could fix it.
And Walter
I mean,
Model was one of the few people who was good at defense. A lot of German generals were very bad defensive generals.
Yeah, I mean, and I just, he was real versatile. You could throw that guy into any situation. I mean, it could be trying to reorganize an army when it's fucking in full retreat and in chaos. That's a pain in the ass. I mean, you talk about one of the worst, trying to take over a fucking command whenever it's a fucking disaster when you show up. I mean, it's very difficult to do, but man, he was like good at it. Good at it to the point where it's worth studying it to this day. It was impressive.
Oh, well, Model was also fanatically devoted to Hitler.
Oh, yeah.
Model was one of the most loyal generals. And people were, plotters, for instance, during the Valkyrie operation, were very concerned about generals like Model. It's like if Model found out, lots of people were going to die because he was going to be one of those kind of enforcer type people.
The Germans always have commanded intense loyalty. I mean, that's the thing is, when the idea, even when things were going bad in the war, people were still loyal. So, just saying, Hitler brought way more to the table than everyone likes to say because, ethnic Europeans will so much shit.
I'll tell you what Hitler brought to the table. He wasn't a cuck. He was one of the most brave soldiers they fucking had. I mean, this is the guy that was busy running messages between the fucking trenches, running through no man's land all the time for 4 fucking years. He got gassed twice, and when the armistice happened, he was lying in a hospital trying to recover from being poisoned. And he wanted to go back out to the front. He didn't want to quit. I mean, that is a man people will follow to the death. That's right. Because, like, Jesus Christ, I mean, he's not a cuck. Why would I be a cuck?
Yep. White men
I love the Germans.
White men follow courage and results, and if you throw enough courage at it, you can have shitty results for a while, and we'll still follow you around for a while. You get away with not producing any results.
We absolutely have to have both. We cannot be spending our lives following a courageous idiot.
No. But for a while, we'll respect just courage. That's all you can bring to the table. You bring enough of it to the table, we'll follow that for a while. We'll do that.
I'm increasingly working to become a very public figure with the number of political campaigns going on right now. By the end of the summer, most people in the country will know who the fuck I am. That's what I'm working on. Because my savings will be exhausted by then. I'm moving step by step here, but let's just say you'll remember this stream and just appreciate what I've done.
Well, no problem, man. I'm not tapping on it. I do suggest you take time to look into what's happened to some guys. You should probably, are you familiar with Tom Metzger?
I'm very familiar with Tom Metzger. There's a reason I don't talk to certain people.
Do you know what happened to him in 1994?
Yeah, they got him in a meeting. Feds were in there, and they got him just make an offhand comment, and they used that against him.
Yeah. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Southern Poverty Law Center connection with his mail. Are you aware of that?
Now that one I didn't know. I'm always on the lookout for Fed posters.
Well, this is important to understand how the Feds work, how the enemy works. Is he was involved in a civil case in 1994 that had to do with some guy that knew him that supposedly shot up someplace. Maybe they exchanged a letter one time, but how the enemy works is that they can make any connection between any action that happens, some attack. They go after you. Lawfare is what they call it. And anyway, this is a civil case. It wasn't federal. This is civil. The Southern Poverty Law Center, Morris Dees, and they were very quick. They were very careful about when to strike because Tom Metzger was a thorn in their ass for quite a while, and they hit him at a time whenever his wife was dying of cancer, and Tom was a pretty fairly wealthy guy. And when they did it, it froze all his accounts until the case could be resolved. This is a civil case. It's fucked up, but anyway. So basically, they had him over a barrel. You know, his wife was dying. He couldn't pay for her friggin' shit without access to his money, but he wasn't going to get access to his money until he could get through the cases and, you know, trying to fight the lawyers connected to the Southern Poverty Law Center. Fuck, man. You know, it's never going to happen. They can run that shit out forever. Well, so they ended up putting him in a position that from 1994, as far as I know, to this day, all of Tom Metzger's mail went to the Southern Poverty Law Center first. Okay. And you got to keep in mind, Tom Metzger was a huge leader within the white nationalist movement at the time in the 90s. And he was he ran the organization WAR, White Aryan, or what was it? White Aryan Warriors
Resistance.
or something like that. But anyway, all of that mail. So what do you think? Who knows how many prison sentences were handed down because of that? Because he didn't tell anybody this shit. He didn't say a word. It was discovered in 2001. I remember some other guys, they got together. They found out about this because they went down to the post office and asked for the legal document. They made copies of this legal document and they sent it out to everybody. I've actually seen a freaking copy of this document that proved it happened. Eventually, Metzger admitted it. But for years, this was going on. And I'm just saying that, know what the history of this is not a joke to the enemy. This is serious shit. The enemy will murder, steal, take everything you have. This is serious shit.
Hey,
I don't have that.
I wish you all the luck. I'm just saying, be prepared for that because
what do you think about?
Well,
Adam
but I'm
Austin?
not going public as a WN though.
What do you think about Adam Austin?
And I also I think the WN period is kind of over for right now because we got to do community building of different kinds. So I that's another longer story. But because my position is it's time to start balkanizing. It's time to start moving into the country. It's time to start forming collectives, like you live with large numbers of people nearby in trailers and help each other form families and work simple jobs. I mean, I'm a big fan of we need universal basic income to help get cash so we can put together for businesses. Because I don't really want to deal with banks if it's at all possible. I'm thinking things through in that way.
Okay, man, you were trying to ask something, dude. We don't want to dominate the conversation. What were you saying?
I was asking what you thought about Adam Austin, if you knew about Adam
Don't know
Austin subverted.
Man, I'm ashamed to admit I try to keep up on all the guys, and I'm ashamed to admit I don't even. Man, if he's a white
old.
nationalist,
This is old
I don't know.
school right
I'm
here.
fucking.
He's old school.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to admit I don't know who his name is. I try to make it a point. Please tell me.
All right. I'm gonna bring up a link here. Nice. I think he's a good guy. Yeah, good guy. Talks about putting Jews in wood chippers, and he's actually a.
What happened to him? How did he go down?
He hasn't had a broadcast since 2017, but
Who you guys talk about?
Adam Austin.
Hey,
I thought-
Gandalf, I got a question for you. Do you know anything about Jen's history or Jen's past?
I know a little bit about it. She's a little bit off on some things.
Like
But-
what?
I wonder who allows her to make this Church of Entropy. Let's just put it that way. I wonder where she was trained, where she traveled. I haven't figured that out fully yet. But I think her
Have you
ideas
heard about her yoga story?
I've not heard about her yoga story.
Should I say this? I mean, I know they might be mad for me for
You can
saying
say
this.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want.
It's my channel.
dude.
It's
You
my
don't
channel.
Say whatever you want. Listen, say whatever you want, because I just keep investigating people. I don't stop.
Okay.
Yoga.
So I
suppose
could send you the link, and I've got. Well, I don't know if I want to send you the screenshots.
Don't send me the link. Just tell me the story.
Wow. Yeah, it's like what yoga story. I could send you the pictures. It's like, ooh, this ought to be good.
I can send you
This is
screenshots. You know what?
Just
I
no,
promise. I
just
got
tell me the
sources
story.
that want to be not disclosed. Let's just say that.
Exactly. Just
There's
tell
no need
me.
to go too far with it.
Just
The
tell me the
story's good.
story.
Okay. I'm just giving you disclosure, just making sure. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
So
trying-
basically, she got her class canceled at November 20th, 2015, and one of the story in the Ottawa Sun basically claimed that her story got canceled because it was SJWs that canceled her class because it was culturally appropriating. So, so this it was the Students of Disabilities at the University of Ottawa that canceled her class. So that was in November 20th, 2015. The university canceled it, and then on December 1st, 2015, Nigel Walker had a class that he ran at the same university, and they didn't cancel his class for cultural appropriation. The original claim was that her class got canceled because it was culturally appropriating. It was a white person doing yoga, and a couple months later, they replaced her with an East Indian, and she didn't know too much about the not as much as I guess Jen about yoga or stretching. Um, and but she denies that she also another claim she made is that she originated the term SJW, so she changed the meaning from a positive to a negative one just by her story, and she claims that she mainstreamed it into the ether. That's another another claim of hers.
Yeah, that's a questionable claim, but that's also the time that that term became mainstream at the same time. So I don't know.
What's the term?
SJW, December
She
20.
changed it from a positive to a negative one.
And that happened around that time because I was a part of the meme culture at the time and I was just lurking around. I remember the time well.
Right. And she went to the media, and it was actually hang on. So now I got a source, and I've talked to this person, and they don't want to be disclosed of, but I've actually talked to some direct sources, let's just say from the Disability Student Union, because she's mentioned names from them before. And she said that her class was canceled because it had low to no registration, and she was part of that union, and she had a falling out with Jen for getting the class canceled.
So she's well known from what I can tell. She's very vicious with other women who fuck her over.
Right. And I'm saying this just to let you know that, she can be kind of manipulative and mean to other people to the point where they don't want to be known. Let's just say that.
No.
Yes.
I can't see that.
Is that a hard story to tell?
Although I will respond with a story in turn. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. And in dealing with Jen, I've taken a few lessons, okay, that I'm going to apply with her, because I'm a pretty prickly motherfucker myself, and she appreciates this about me. I think is who Kurt Doolittle is, right?
Okay.
He's a Fed, and I figured it out.
What makes him a Fed?
Too much Fed posting to try and bait people into doing stuff that shouldn't be done, like blowing up power stations, for instance, all the time. And he gets spurgs and he talks about war and says really stupid stuff about violence. And considering that I know stuff about like Metzger and OKC bombing and all that shit, it raised red flags with me. And I started looking in Kurt Doolittle's history, and I was someone who, well, I worked with a couple people to try and wake people up to his cult on Facebook, and well, no one wanted to listen. So, you know, I do my homework on people, and I try and figure out their behavior. Now, Jen Scharf had tried to get in touch with me for a while, Kurt. I rebuffed her because I thought she was too strange and too weird. And I didn't know all the stuff about the yoga studio, but I just kind of sensed stuff was up. But she knew I was kind of going into this fight with Kurt, and she suspected I was a little different. And I'm normally been pretty good with, and I tend to like pretty combative women, and I can deal with them because, well, I don't know why.
Are you sexually attracted to combative women?
You know, I'm honest.
Do you like to be dominated in the bedroom?
No.
What would you ask
No,
that? Man?
not a bad question. No, I grew up with an alcoholic mother, and and I'm more my mother's son than my father's son, to be quite honest. Just my family. Like my sister is more my father's daughter, and I'm more my mother's son. And my mother's father is the person I'm most like in my family.
Was
Who
your
died
mother
before I
abusive?
My mother?
Your
Yeah, was she
mother's father?
abusive?
You're a bastard
No.
child?
No, I'm my
Oh.
mother's son. Like, you know,
No.
every kid is
So
more
good.
like one parent than another.
I
Like
was just
everyone who
asking
knows
because
me,
You're a mother's
used
boy.
to
You're
feeling- I'm
mama's
used
boy is what you're saying.
no, I'm not a mother's boy. Listen to what I say.
it's okay to be a mama's boy, dude. It's not a bad thing, man. Most of us were
No, it's
raised
not
by
a bad thing.
single parents. It's not saying
I'm
something
over
negative
it.
about you.
I just don't want to be called a cuck because I'm not. But my point is,
Just
you know,
say it.
my personality,
You're making it worse.
my way of being are molded by. I have a very strong-willed and somewhat erratic mother. I've dealt with pretty ferocious women my whole life, and I kind of have a good sense for them. I sometimes have a much weaker sense of dealing with more cult-like, charismatic men. I actually have, though I've learned quickly.
Dude, if a guy named Mr. Medicare ever wants to talk to you online, don't do it.
He's not someone I'd want to deal with.
We know who that is.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, Mr. Medicare is not someone I would talk
Well,
to.
I know who that is. Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't
Fine.
talk.
don't do it.
Yeah, I would avoid that.
So yeah, I'm just letting you know, like within Kurt Doolittle's proprietarian cult, and just look up Arrowville. Okay, he did some stuff on Kurt Doolittle, and Kurt Doolittle and I. Well, Kurt, I'll tell you this. I mean, I'm not really in a position to enforce these things too much, and I think this is one reason Jen likes me because she noticed my behavior. Like Jen is not. Jen has her problems, but I think she's coming because I think she means well. Let's put it that way. Whereas Kurt Doolittle does not mean well, so there's a big difference there. But within Kurt Doolittle's circle, because he's magnetic and he knows how to manipulate women quite well, I became friends with all the strong-willed women in his circle, and they all really appreciate me, and I can get loyalty from certain kinds of women that other men can't. One, because I know how to. One, because I know how to keep my sexuality under control.
As long as you're not like a eunuch, you know that's.
I'm
okay.
not a fucking eunuch.
Okay, cool.
I'm very particular about what women I'll fuck around with. But women also want men who, for reasons other than sex, like smart women do, for sure.
Yeah, they
And
want
I know how to
money out of them and free meals and shit.
No, I'm aware that people want shit like that, and I know how to avoid that too. Like I'm much more. I try very hard to be pretty psychologically sophisticated about looking at people.
Yeah, it's
I made a mistake
be
with Kurt
friends with
Doolittle.
lady
I made a
who-
mistake with Kurt Doolittle, and I'm not going to make it again.
I'm still kind of hung up on the idea. So Jen really claims that she was the one that turned SJW into a negative term.
Yes, in the mainstream.
Also claims she's reincarnated. So keep that in mind.
She also claimed that she's a reincarnation of Diane Hamas.
Diana, who was a major 19th century Vedic scholar.
Yes. Yeah.
And by the way,
Did you
considering
know
that I've
I'm a
read-
reincarnation of Genghis Khan? Did you know that?
yeah, whatever. But
Holy shit, dude.
but
Yeah,
I've read her Church of Entropy stuff, okay? And you know,
Yeah.
it's actually fairly I wish she'd be more systematic and scholarly. But maybe that's my bias. It's pretty good. A lot of that stuff is pretty like her stuff about like logic, how arguments work. Her feel for quantum mechanics is actually, and quantum mechanics is very counterintuitive, so I judge it pretty harshly. Her stuff on it's pretty good. And when she writes about like Vedic scholars that I know, which is like Surya or Bindo, because I used to be into integral, she really gets that stuff, and not many people do. So she's smart.
What was that about
I
your
don't know, man.
alcoholic
Yeah,
mother again? Like, I wanted to dig in on that a little bit.
You want to explore that some
No, I'm
more?
saying my personality is that of my mother's side of my family, and people who know both my mom and me will say, "No, yeah, you're your mother's son. You got her personality."
You said your mom used to be an alcoholic.
Yes, my grandfather was an alcoholic too,
I mean,
and my mother was her daddy's daughter, and I'm like my late grandfather.
I mean, was your mother just kind of like a fun drunk, or did she get mean when she got drunk? Because I don't know about you guys, but you know, my
She
personal
was a
opinion.
secretive and mean drunk. Secretive, mean drunk.
It's a secretive mean drunk. So she was mean to you when she was drunk.
And I was mean back. Like when my mom was drunk, she and I would have fights in the house. We fought.
How old were you till you first started fighting back against her?
About 12.
I know the fights were so nasty, even my father and my sister would back away.
So you had an older sister, or was she younger?
Younger sister.
Oh,
okay. So you had to take care of her. You know,
No, I didn't take care of my sister.
But you had to be the lead boy. You know. I had an older.
I sort of. It's just more like we're the same person, so we fought.
You know. I had an older sister that was 4 years older than me. How much more older were you from your younger sister?
By the way, Jen Sharf wants to be in this thing. Should I send you the link?
figured that was coming.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, more the merrier, I suppose.
It's all
I
good.
enjoyed it.
You're in.
I'm sending you the
about
link.
3 years older.
By the way,
than you.
Jen and I have been talking for months. She's been very nice to me. And as long as you're nice to me, I'm good to you. I'm very, very consistent on that. If she violates reciprocity with me, it'll be a different story. But thus far, I've enjoyed her.
Did your mother have did you have a stepfather, or was she?
No, my dad was an extremely loyal and good husband, and she took care of all of us. And so I've always had to.
So you had to deal with your father having to deal with your drunken mother.
And he needed to back away, so he didn't really deal with it.
I don't have daddy issues over it. I always appreciated my father for it.
Yeah.
Because I love my mother.
So, but you were the one fighting with your mother, so your dad backed away, you said, right?
Well, you don't understand like how ferocious I am when I'm angry.
No, I'm not. That's okay. I'm not questioning on that. I was just curious. You said your dad would back away,
Well,
so your dad would kind of avoid these fights.
No, it's not that between my mom and I. Yes, because my mom and I are ferocious people. I mean, we're ferocious people. My dad is a very strong and stoic man, but the ferocity frightens him.
So, okay, I'm good. I got what I needed. Okay.
Does that give you an idea? Like, I'm open about what I am. I got very little to hide.
Nope, it's all good, man. My question's answered. You guys, you go ahead.
Well, I mean, look, one thing that happened, I'll give you a little more because I'll be honest, okay? I'm fucking dead honest here. I don't know how far I'm going to go, what I'm going to do. And my loyalties, because of my own personal life history, aren't just to white people. So, like, that's why I'm not totally white nationalist, although you guys are first because You're my tribe, and I'm about family. You know, if you take the Politiscales test,
Yeah.
politiscales.net, I turn out fatherland, order, and family. Okay, and I do believe kith and kin come first. Outside of a couple of black people who have actually stuck out and like saved my life personally. I mean, I know them personally, and we've saved each other's lives. And there are like a couple that are in that camp. My own blood relatives and my entire white race do come first. I am nice to all outsiders, but outsiders are not kith and kin. I'm very strict on this. Okay?
And who are the outsiders?
Are you a member of, you know,
Of your
are you-
neighborhood or your city or your
No, I'm
state?
talking European descent. We are a nation.
Oh, European descent.
Yeah.
Okay. The outside. Those are the outsiders, the people that aren't. Of
Yeah.
Your blood,
I,
of your
I,
bloodline. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm willing to be very good to black Americans.
Okay.
To like Mexicans,
Yeah.
go back over the fucking border because you really don't
Defining
belong.
your definitions here. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm giving you the vision I have for
Mhm.
like this society. You know, I'm the type of guy who's follows stuff like all the time. You know what I mean? I follow things closely. So and when I was a very young child, right?
Mhm.
I was always interested in questions of rulership and statecraft. I played games like Panzer General and counter World War II games quite a bit. So, you know, strategy, tactics, war, these things have been things that I've obsessed about my whole life. And as I've gotten older, my obsession's gotten deeper, partly because I recognize the crisis that's been growing around me. And I'm interested in serious people that want to think about it. And that's kind of how I am. And ultimately, what we need,
isolated though, because of your age group, they're not into what you're into at all.
of course, and that's been a source of suffering that I've
Mhm.
you know I didn't deal with. It caused me to get into a ton of degeneracy in my 20s, like dealing with the loneliness. So I would go for anything to get away from it, and that was I don't even want to go into that because it just makes me sound.
Yeah, it's just a bad hole.
Yeah, but so reacting to the now, I'm a strong introvert. Don't get me wrong, but I mean sometimes you still need people, and well, I react. And when I was
I got you right. I know you're extremely introverted.
Yeah, and as I'm older, I'm fine with it. But I do want lots of conversation, and I need lots of conversation. It's
That's
important.
good, man. I mean, I'm glad you're talking to people right now.
Yeah, I mean, and I've got a lot to provide.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty sharp motherfucker, and I like you guys to sharpen me up a little more. I mean, I'm not, one of the big problems with like the e-celeb culture when you get internet blood sports and the way people interact on social media is people think they're better than everybody else.
Exactly. These e-celeb bastards, right?
And in some ways, not to be arrogant, I am better than most people because I'm a very learned person. But that doesn't mean I know everything or that I shouldn't rethink my ideas. So if people push back on me and give me better ideas or make me have to think harder and they come at me with respect, I back away and I integrate what I'm given and I share the credit. That's how I work. It's an honorable way to work.
Yeah, you start live streaming on your own channel, man, and you'll get some subs, I guarantee it.
I intend to, and I hope people will give me a cup of coffee every month, and we get 500-600 people. And the way I'm going to do it is, we're not doing WN stuff on my stuff. I want it to be more public and open. Why educate the public? Because I talk to a lot of black nationalists too, and I help them out.
Okay, see that's what's going to make the fucking stream spicy. Is you like talking to black nationalists on them.
And blacks like me because I treat them well.
Because you're gonna get a whole bunch of white nationalists like trolling you and shit. But it's
and they're gonna deal with it because to be quite honest,
we're gonna be interaction. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is
Yeah.
what they
And
You're-
I'm authentic. Black folks know that I give a shit about that. And
Yeah. See, this is what's good, man. Because you come across well and you speak well, man, and you have all your ideas and your info and stuff. But then your ideas or ideology is completely, well, it's a little whacked
no, it's
compared
not
to.
whacked. It's third.
No, I mean, in our eyes, in our blue eyes,
Yeah.
in our white skin blue eyes, um, it's a little off kilter, perhaps, but not to you. I mean, it's not to me either. But I'm just saying, like, if you start
True.
doing streaming and stuff like that, man, like, yeah, you're gonna get a whole bunch of. You ever hear of Luke Ford or something? Like, maybe you should go
Luke
on there.
pisses me off.
How about Astro? You remind me of Astro and Brundlefly in the middle, like in between. Uh, yeah, there's a character on. His name's Astro, and he's about where you're at,
Hmm.
mentally, and then you have a little more character. You're a little bit more Brundlefly too. So I would peg you like right in between Astro and Brutalfly right now. Um, so
I don't
yeah,
think it has anything in common with Brundlefly.
Brundle. Yeah. Well, no, it's just his charisma. It's his charisma, and then but your mentality and whatnot, your learned self is more like Astro.
Maybe I don't know these people, so I'm just filing this away.
Astro is like a firecracker, and when it comes to books and information and whatnot.
Well, let me give you a story when I was more athletic in college before my
Yeah.
degenerate phase, when I was going through searching what I was going to do in my 20s.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So I was athletic in college, right? I grew up in a multiracial town. I wasn't good enough to like do any like, couldn't make the high school team because they went downstate, but I played like lots of basketball, right? I was
So you're tall.
tall. I was not like the jump out of a gym, run down the thing type guy, run down the court guy. But I was the guy who'd set hard screens, shoot threes. Not a great dribbler, but I'd rebound and defend like fucking shit. And people knew I was a scrappy motherfucker. I wasn't going to throw punches or fight people, but at least on a basketball court, people know like the way I played, and I was ferocious. Like I'd fight calls. Like I played. By the time I went to college, and like the black dudes would show up at the intramural thing, they knew I'd fight them, but like they wouldn't dare throw a punch at me because they'd look in my eyes and like, oh, this is crazy white dude guy.
Yeah.
That's why they respect me. But at the end, they also see that I'm kind to them at the same time, and that I have both of them, and it's like they'll submit. And they'll be taken care of. They'll get their baubles and their gibs, but they better submit.
There Gibbs, huh?
Yeah, they'll get that.
Chicago Gibbs.
Yep.
Right.
Shit.
Gregor,
Yeah, but
you got a distinctive voice there, man. You really do. You were cracking me up there for a minute. I can't tell what it reminds me of, but
well,
you said that earlier.
when I work on it, it'll remind you of your uncle.
Something about that was reminding me of something.
When I work on it, it'll remind you of your uncle.
Okay, that was what?
I'm serious.
Are you? I thought you're not Cracker Jack.
Your
are you?
uncle? What uncle?
No, I'm not Cracker Jack. No, I am.
I got you guys
man.
fucked, man. I don't know the
Who are
screen.
you
Fuck
talking to? Who are you talking to, fucking?
Fucking
Cracker Jack.
look at your avatar, and I'm saying your uncle. Uncle, you know who? Wake up. You got it.
Fucking, who are you talking to?
Thought I was talking to Cracker Jack.
I'm saying when I
Oh,
got
my
this,
voice? My voice was what?
I don't know your voice, man. Earlier you were making comments. My voice reminded me of somebody. I was just listening to what you were saying to him when you were when he was starting to talk about things, and you were going, yeah. What you gonna do? I don't know what it is. You reminded me of something from a movie, and I just can't think of what it was.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me.
No, I was talking about Cracker
I
Jack.
know. I thought he was too. So okay. So I had
Well-
a voice, and it sounded like a movie. You remember? Okay.
Yeah, something
Well-
about the way you were saying that, man. You're just kind of into it. I don't know. Something about your voice there it reminded me of some movie. I can't think of what it is.
Well,
Well, that's too bad because I
Oh,
can't
man.
think
I
of
don't know.
what
It's
it
too good,
was
dude.
either.
well, I'll
You
tell
were, like,
you.
into it there, dude. I don't know, man. You were like into it, like it's like somebody was never.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's
Yeah.
what I need. Here's what I need.
What's up?
Here's what I need. I do need to. I need the following things solved in my life. Basically, and I don't know how it's going to happen just yet, but I'll figure it out. And I'm now on the point where I'm going to be ruthless about figuring it out. I need my I need my basic economic needs met, which are very basic. I mean, I can live on.
Economic needs. How about go? I don't know. Go
Listen.
look at Starbucks. There you go.
Fuck that! I don't want to be around these goddamn people anymore. I'm tired of this.
Nobody
stupid
does,
people.
but that's what we have to do sometimes.
Yeah, I understand that,
Go work.
and that's a waste of my life when I'm fucking when there aren't many people who can do what I can do.
All right.
It is, and what I need is a couple thousand of you guys to like be about like, let's give this dude $1 fucking a month instead of the fucking nigger on a train. Okay, give it to me.
Why don't I give it to my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter? How about that?
Yeah, and guess what? I'm fighting for your 10-year-old daughter, and I'm fighting so that I can get a 10-year-old daughter someday myself when I'm 55.
Yeah. You know what a 10-year-old little girl likes? She likes iPads and iPhones and fancy
Yeah,
things.
I'm not going to give my 10-year-old daughter that shit to ruin her goddamn brain.
Yeah. I'm not asking for a dime any time. And why don't you, at 36 years old, living in Chi-Town, Chicago,
I'm gonna provide you folks with value.
Value, okay, value. Value online.
I'm not asking for money yet. I haven't figured out everything. I don't want to. I haven't figured out everything. I don't know what it's going to be. I do work. I worked my ass off for 3 years as a security guard, doing double shifts all the time because people wouldn't show up to the goddamn job. I about fucking had it. I about fucking had it because I'm a dutiful guy and I can't do the other things that I really need to do, which are about getting this movement together so I can save our goddamn people. I'm not angry at any of you. I'm passionate that this is our situation.
I know you're passionate, but you're getting angry. I'm poking on you a little bit, man, because you're asking.
I know, and you are. I'm angry not at you. I'm angry that this is the situation I got to find myself in when I just wanted to be the kid who's left alone to read his books, do his studying, and not have to be.
Wants to. Yeah, it would be awesome if somebody paid me to sit around and read fucking books all day. It'd be
as if that
and maybe
work
do
or
an
isn't
hour
valuable.
broadcast a day on YouTube. That's not.
Yeah, which requires
the real
if you're going to put up good videos, that's 2 or 3 more hours of editing.
Oh no! Oh no! But you
See,
don't have to go to. You don't have to actually work anywhere. You don't have to
if you do this, you work all the time.
Okay, you're gonna preach about National Socialism when you don't actually fucking contribute to society, except for
what do I?
videos.
Society only takes from me. I contribute a lot.
All right.
I used to be a school teacher, and no one wants me because I won't teach global homo to these goddamn kids.
Well, I can understand
that,
but I can also
because
understand the fact that you probably can't teach school because of your temper. Is what I'm
because I don't tolerate shit for brains kids. The kids should learn to shut up and listen to good teachers who care.
Yeah.
We don't have enough order in our society. I'm a very order-oriented guy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm old-fashioned.
I'm OCD.
I'm an old-fashioned man.
I'm OCD all the fucking way, man. And
I get it.
I really am with my personal life.
Yeah.
And I have to deal with different jobs. I'll do detail cars are all right now I'm detailing cars but I have over 20 years cooking in restaurants, dealing with people on and off.
I get it.
Different types of people, and I have to do that to make the ends meet. Okay, and
I hear you.
you don't come online. I mean, you sound cool. Yeah, I mean, you make a lot of great points, man. You sound like an educated fellow. And but then at the end, you know, the whole asking for shekels thing is like it's a buzzkill. It's a buzzkill
I have
beyond belief.
savings. I saved up money for 3 years to have at least 3 or 4 months to explore different options. One of
Okay.
those is asking for shekels, like $1 a goddamn month.
No, that's not an option. What you need to do is if you saved up that much money to live off of without working, you should look into how to invest that money and to create your own business. I mean, you could go like
I'm
maintenance.
not against that either.
You
I
could just buy a little.
I don't want to be told what I should. Listen a second here. I don't want to be told what I should or shouldn't do with my
I'm not
finances or
saying
what I
what
should
you
and shouldn't
should do. I'm saying what you could do. You know,
Okay, I see your point. I just don't want to be seen as like if I ask for donations for anything or for help with anything, then I'm just some freeloader or some shitbag.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying it's not a bad. It's not a good way to go.
Oh,
Yeah,
I see. Yeah,
It might have been a good idea to have the product ready for people to buy.
Part of the problem is I couldn't do enough of this work to be able to figure that out because I was working 16-hour shifts for about 4 months and I burnt out.
Well, yeah, that's what happens.
I'm trying to do this stuff too. I've been reading and writing for years now.
Yeah,
the crisis has gotten worse. I'm trying to step up. This is not comfortable for me, but I'm going to do it anyway and figure it out.
Life isn't comfortable for any white man in America right now. You're not alone. Okay.
Oh, I didn't mean to be hostile to you in the slightest, Cracker Jack.
Okay.
It's just the way
That's okay.
It's
You're
just
not
my path.
alone, though. You're not alone. Life is not comfy for us.
Oh, I hear it.
I know.
It's not. I'm mad for you because you sound like you've gotten fucked over too much in your goddamn life.
Quite a bit. Don't worry about it. Don't worry
What
about
I hate
it.
about reincarnation, man. That's what I hate. The idea of fuck, dude. If I die and I get told I'm coming back, I'm gonna buck. I'm gonna
Everybody reincarnates when they die.
Fuck out, dude. That sucks.
Everybody reincarnates when they die. Every single person. Every last person reincarnates when they die.
That sucks. That sucks.
Yeah,
This plane of existence is not a plane of existence. It's a fucking prison. That's what this plane of existence is. A fucking prison.
Yeah, well, people have been saying that for thousands of years, and it still doesn't change the fact that when you die, you reincarnate. So maybe we should take that into consideration and realize what a great rhetorical tool it is.
What great rhetorical? It's a fucking prison. You don't remember any of this. You don't remember your past lives. I'm just saying it sucks. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it sucks. You get to remember yours, whatever. You're privileged. 90% of people running around don't get to remember their past fucking lives. They spend a whole lifetime building up wisdom and knowledge. I mean, they don't say youth is wasted on the young for no reason whatsoever. So you can die and do it again.
Maybe it's a good idea to start building up a knowledge basis so you're not forgetting your past life every time.
Fuck. I got to build up a knowledge base and leave it there so I can go access it and listen to my fucking old ass tell myself this shit again. Can't they just transfer the information over? And fuck, nobody's telling anybody that shit.
You can transfer it over to yourself, but you have to be a master to do that, and that takes a lot of work. But it is
the rest of us are just fucked. Everybody's just fucked. I'm sorry, that's a shitty system. What the fuck, man? Who designed that?
God. God designed it.
I don't know, man. Well, it's shitty because it sounds like a prison to me. It sounds like we're getting the shitty into this.
Like literally, what you're saying is what people have been saying for thousands and thousands. Is people have been saying that forever, basically, that the human form is a prison, and so they try to transcend the human form and reach enlightenment, so they don't have to be reincarnated. I mean,
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the system of reincarnating people without them being able to know their past lives and who their knowledge is a prison. It's like, who is that benefiting? You know, who the fuck's getting any? We're not getting anything out of that. We're getting, hey, shitty deal, shitty deal, shitty deal. I mean, fuck. It's like a cosmic fucking gag reel.
Life's not fair in that sense. There's no personal God waiting for you at the end who's going to judge you and put you in heaven forever. That's a stupid, childish idea.
I'm not fucking saying that. Don't put this on me. Did I say that? No, I didn't. I just said that the system of reincarnation without being able to remember your past lives is a shitty system. That's a fucking raw deal.
You can remember them. You just need to build up the skill to do it.
It's possible. You know, one thing to look into that might help.
And nobody knows this skill other than people that don't know how to teach it to other people very fucking well.
No, that's wrong. That's wrong. The skill can be learned. In fact, intelligence agencies have been doing research on various aspects of the kind of skills that you would need to know your past life. For instance, Ingo Swann and remote viewing is something to look into. The CIA discovered that he had learned how to do it in the 70s, and they employed him for shit. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. It's a very complex subject. Something else that during my time where I'm lazy and might want $1 or $2 a month from people, I do research on, put reports on, and help train people to do stuff. What I am is not someone who wants to participate in the commercial economy, because I guess I agree with Jen, maybe not completely, but I think we need a theocracy that gets us around why Hitler failed.
Yeah, I mean, you need some system that's going to allow the people who are ready for it to achieve enlightenment. Otherwise, it's not just reincarnating forever. It's reincarnating forever with no chance of enlightenment.
Yeah, I'm still going to go with that. That's still a shitty system. I mean, fuck, dude. How much harder is it for people to enlighten? What was the point? What was the point of them fucking past lives?
Extremely hard, because there's been a lot of sinning going on, which tends to lead to curses, and curses make it even harder to reach enlightenment.
Well, fucking, and the system was designed so people could reach enlightenment.
Well, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, obviously it wasn't designed very well when fucking very few people have achieved enlightenment. From what you're telling me, it was better way back then. More people were able to achieve enlightenment, and as time has gone on, it's just gotten shittier and shittier and shittier and shittier, and fewer people.
That's right. That's right.
Well, that was a poorly designed system. That was a poorly
designed well, because nature doesn't want to deal with defective organisms that can't evolve. Nature
who designed the defective organisms?
Evolution.
Well, who designed the defective organisms?
Us, if we don't want to evolve.
Well,
us, if we don't want to evolve.
Who designed us?
Not a personal God, because that's Christian bullshit. It's just nature, the universe, a pan-entheistic universe.
So
it just is. So nothing we're here to discover.
So there is no point to life. There is no point.
There is a point. Discover and transcend. That's the point. It's an adventure. It's a hero's journey. It's a hero's journey.
People have to know this is a goal. And who has transcended? How do we know anybody's transcended?
This is why we create the religion, to teach people this.
Okay, well, all right. How do you know, here's the problem. You can't prove something to people. Do you just want them to have faith in this, right? You're basically going to explain a bunch of reasons why they should have faith. You can't necessarily prove it.
No. See, this is the Christian. We were all programmed as Christian. I mean, when Jen was pushing back at you, saying the Christian in you is talking, is like the Christian in you is talking now. This disease of Semitic religions in our kind of cultural psychic space has made us not see these things in the way that we should. You know,
well then, how should we see it? Can you guys explain any of your points without a long diatribe of fucking crazy ass shit that somebody else has to read? Is there anything that is simple with
No,
give me
there's nothing simple. You have to work really hard. There's no cheating. Okay, this idea that you can take a shortcut is ridiculous and immature.
Well, no, it's not immature. It's understanding how to fucking get people to do things. It's like, okay, you got to get people to accept something. You at least need to explain something inviting to them that's easy for them to understand. If it's complicated as fuck, then that's fuck, dude. That's how the Jews operate. Everything the Jews do is complicated as fuck.
I've made
None
it
of
as simple as possible. I've made it as simple as possible. And that's why someone like Gandalf, who's never read anything in the domain of quantum mechanics that much, like you've never done a course on it, that's why you can understand what I wrote, because I've simplified it down to as much as it can be simplified.
If you're the one who wrote it and you can't explain it without somebody else having to go read a bunch of shit you wrote, then that's not a good. You can't freaking explain it, and you can't even explain a part of it. I'm not asking you to explain the whole thing. I'm just asking for a piece, a part that doesn't take 2 hours to explain or having to read a bunch of crazy shit.
Okay, well, you're expecting me to spoon feed you knowledge, and it simply doesn't
work like that. I'm just asking if you can do it. You're saying no, you can't. You have to read a bunch of crazy ass shit to be able to understand any part of it. Any part of it. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know how you're going to sell that to people in 4 years. I don't know how you're going to get a revolution out of people in 4 fucking years.
All you have to do is say reincarnation is a guarantee. You better have a system that allows you to reach enlightenment, or else you're all stuck here forever in this horrible prison.
Pretty basic. And guess what?
Information rarely changes behavior, Jen. I don't know if you've noticed that. Facts and information almost never changes behavior. It's very
information does change behavior, okay? People behave according to their beliefs. And if everyone believed in reincarnation, we would be able much more easily to get the things done that we want to get done.
How would everybody believe in reincarnation? Okay. But you want to convince people that don't believe in it to believe it.
Yeah, well, they believed in it in the past, and then they forgot about it because of degeneracy, but they can easily go back to believing in it.
Okay, well, here's a problem. You have no proof of that that you can show anybody.
Yeah, I have like 2 proofs of it on my blog. No scientist could ever disagree with me because it's based on Western science.
Okay, you have no proof that you can get people to freaking look at, you know. I mean,
that's why I have people that spread my message for me.
In 4 years. 4 years. Right. I did look at those numbers.
Look, people don't want to be enlightened normally. People would rather be asleep. It's easier.
Okay, well, you got to enlighten a lot of people if you're going to fix these
We
problems.
don't have to enlighten that many people. We have to enlighten the people who most want to be first, and then everything else will fall in place in its own time.
Okay, what do you theorize is the magic number when everything will start to change? What is the number?
It's hard to know, but if I could get 1,000 people that really are devoted to enlightenment and really will follow good program and get the kind of theocratic rule we're going to need to hack the Jews and their gods, I think we can do it in less than a decade, maybe 4 or 5 years.
Fuck, hold on. Earlier, you were going to fix the whole problem in 4 years. Now it's a decade?
I don't know. The resistance I'm getting here makes me rethink and recalculate. Science is not about having absolute dogmas. It's about assessing a situation and continually taking in new information, testing hypotheses, and revising theories. This is science. A good religion that is spiritually scientific looks at things that way. I mean, one of the reasons, a quick and dirty explanation for why reincarnation is a much better explanation for things than, you know, St. Peter and the pearly gates fucking heaven shit, is guess what? Matter and energy are conserved. That's been proven by modern physics over and over again. So you think your body dies, that all of a sudden it just disappears forever and it just goes? All that energy gets put together in some other essence later. And there are essences in the world, and your soul is part of an astral plane. I mean, there's some science that suggests that that's even real. Hence, I referenced the remote viewing. There's a lot of shit to teach people, and people just have to be open to learning and exploring on their own. The way our religion will work is not that the teacher teaches a dogma, you must assent like it's faith, and then, you know, you go away. It doesn't work that way. You have to get your Christian understanding of religion completely out of your mind, be radically open-minded, and just want to learn. That you have to have that mentality first. If you don't have that mentality, you can't do this. And it's a
Okay,
mentality I have because I'm someone who ceaselessly searches for knowledge. I am ceaselessly searching for knowledge. Believe me, if anyone who's ever known me my whole life was like, I always explored, I always learned, I always questioned. I'm always willing to change my mind. That's why when you gave me such great advice maybe a couple hours ago, I really think about it. I don't care who I learn from, I just want to learn. And as a student, you have to be the same way. You have to be relentless that way. That way you get to enlightenment. You have a chance if you're that way.
But they have to want it themselves before anything will happen. They have to want it.
Exactly.
Okay.
You have
Well,
to
let
want
me
it.
tell you
You have to-
something. As white nationalists, trust me, not because we want to, but it's just the only strategy we have. We know a lot about waking people up with truth. We know a lot about it. And especially when they don't want the information, and accepting the information means they have to accept the fact that they've been lied to and fooled, and it's going to be a little shameful. And I'm going to tell you right now, I guarantee it'll take you every bit of 10 years to get half of 1,000 people, considering how much you're starting with, where they have to get the information of, and what you've got to explain to people. Damn.
Tons of people already believe in reincarnation, though.
And that's not your concern. It's the ones that don't. That's your concern.
Okay, Jennifer, let me take a different tack on this. Give me 1 second here, okay? What if we figure out a way to persuade our people, to reach them at the deepest level? We did scientific research about how our people work. Maybe there's some genetic component to why we have certain personality profiles compared to other races and nations. That if we work to change kind of their belief system, their approach to things, we inoculate them from Jewish guilt and shame, and we just reorient their mind, and we developed religious teaching and instruction that will get them on our side, and they won't listen to the Talmud division or other programming like that ever again. We could red pill people much faster and do it much more efficiently. I think there's a lot of possibilities there, believe it or not. Because the media is us. We can reverse engineer it on them. It's not impossible. In fact,
but it's a what if. But you don't know how to do this yet. You're talking. I mean, dude. I mean, I could what if all day, and proof's in the pudding, and you don't have any pudding right at the moment.
I get you. We're not on the other side of this struggle, so we're all in this thing trying to figure it out, and some of us are just really pushing hard. That's all I'm saying.
So until a better tactic presents itself, people are best to go with the tactic that has a chance.
But it doesn't have a chance. It failed in 10 fucking years. Get it through your head. It's not going to.
No, I keep trying to tell you, failing because another country had to come in and invade it militarily, that's not failing, especially when that is the field that white people dominate. That is the battlefield we dominate. We drag the enemy out onto the fucking battlefield where they don't have other white people to fight for them. They're fucked. They're done.
And guess what? Guess what? We lost. There's another plane than the military plane. It's the spiritual, metaphysical plane. We lost that because the Jews still controlled us with their religions, even though we had all the guns. We have to win on multiple levels, not just the military.
But you don't know how to win at that level yet.
Yeah, I do.
Well, you study the enemy.
You don't know how to convince enough people in a fast enough time to be able to do it.
I do. I got everybody to hate social justice warriors.
How did you
I
do
can
that?
do a lot more than that, but I am not going to.
How are you responsible for that?
I am not going to do it unless I get total submission from idiots like you, because I am not going to put my people in a position where they have to suffer more bullshit for your.
Hold on. You just said you were responsible for the SJW meme. You just said that.
Well, Vance can tell you.
Am I wrong? Did I mishear you? Did you just say that?
Vance can tell you all about it. He's the one who thinks that talking about economics is beta, but gossiping about my yoga class getting canceled
is trying to confirm. Jen, I just want to confirm. Is that what you're saying, that you're responsible for the SJW meme? Where it's viewed as negative. People calling other people SJW. Is that what you just said?
When do people start talking about SJWs?
First time I heard anybody talk about it was Glenn Beck on Fox News in 2012, I think, or before that.
No. When people
I
started
did.
using
Knew I heard it on
as-
Gamergate.
Yep.
Gamergate talked about it nonstop, and all that shit happened in 2014.
And when did people's opinion about SJW start to really change? That was what Jen's original point was.
Well, people. Well, here that's a subjective question because
No. It's not a subjective question because I was on the Chans all those months and I was always tracking what people were doing.
well, I would say sometime between because it really went mainstream. I mean, people were talking about it on the news and on mainstream television prior to 2014. But I would say in 2014 is when it fucking hit the scene. Okay, fine. 2014, I'd say is when it hit the scene seriously.
And when did a significant reaction to it start to really develop?
2014 and prior.
No, the significant reaction really started to develop really toward the last couple months of 2015 and the first few months of 2016. And that's also the same time that Donald Trump started rocketing through the stratosphere because he openly talked about, I'm campaigning against political correctness.
Well, okay, then here's the problem with this question. And I could be wrong and you could be wrong because we don't even know how to describe the definition of what is a sign that something has become mainstream?
People are using the term all the time in regular conversation.
And here's the thing. It's like, it depends on what people you're talking to because fuck. I mean, I would consider all those people involved in the whole Gamergate thing pretty damn mainstream, but you probably wouldn't. So that's the problem is I'm saying, there's a universal way to judge when that went mainstream because it's based on perspective. So you can't really, it's very difficult to say exactly when that happened, the exact time.
Have you read Friedrich Nietzsche?
Some.
He talks about everything is about perspective, perspectivism. I mean, there's quotes in, I think, either Human All Too Human or The Gay Science about it. I'll go and find them.
Okay, well, here's
everything
the thing.
is about perspective, and the moral psychology you bring to that perspective changes the world you see around you.
Okay, and I'm just trying to figure out what's the point of that with what I was saying. I'm just saying that proving that is difficult.
The point is, when it started to become mainstream, you had to be looking at the SJW question and seeing it spill out beyond the gamer community. And I remember well, because I have a mind like a steel fucking vice, it was the last couple months of 2015 and the first couple months of 2016 where the term SJW was talked about by people who were not in the circle of people that were Gamergaters.
And what happened at the end of November 2015?
And how did you know that happened? How did you know that happened? What was this?
Because I track the culture. I pay attention to the game. I pay attention to all these circles. I'm basically like an intelligence agent in my own way, spying on the culture. I analyze things with a fine-tooth comb. Like, that's why I tell people about what's going on in the financial markets. I watch shit. That's what I do.
I know, dude, but what you're basically basing it on, like, everybody can't use you as an authority on that. So I mean, to be an authority on something, to be able to give an actual answer, you have to be able to tell us at what point, if somebody just creates a meme tomorrow, how are we going to know that that meme he created is mainstream? You have to be able to define this in terms, or it is impossible to define terms because it's subjective.
No. You can't define it point by point. It's a spectrum. Lots of things are not by point. It's just a spectrum and a field. And ultimately, when you look at reality at the very basic level, it's only spectrum and field, and points are a bit of an illusion.
Field or feels? Because it sounds like people have to feel that that's the way it is for
field, F-I-E-L-D. And you have to kind of feel the field anyway, so you actually touched on something that was pretty deep. You actually have a much bigger witness for this than you think.
That there's no need to necessarily continue the argument because at this point, you can't. It's your opinion, and I can't see how this could ever be anything but opinion. I don't think I could give a lot of great reasons why it was more mainstream before, And you could give a lot of great reasons why it wasn't mainstream until your perspective, until it reached you. So, you know,
But
until we can define that so everybody can agree upon it, then it's
this
too
is
subjective.
why you got to know quantum mechanics and the quantum perspective is you can never get out of this box. Perspective and observer are there's no such thing as something completely objective and outside of the perspective of the observer. That is sort of an Enlightenment Kantian construct that we still live with and we're still told is true, and our Christian, you know, background kind of allows us to believe in, but it's a lie. That's not the way the world is. At the quantum level, it's not. I mean, look at Schrodinger's experiment. I mean, I can't do the math of quantum mechanics well. I want to, and I would like to, because I want to test things for myself, because that's the way I always am. But I remember changes in the culture. I pay attention to things. Why is my memory wrong? Because that's actually when if you were to go back and look at, say, January 2015 versus January 2016 and look at mentions of SJWs, then you compare it to maybe 6 months after that, you see the continuum. It's like a graph, and it goes up. It just, you observe, and you go back. Just do Google Analytics on it. I'm sure I'm probably not that far off. And if I am, I welcome the correction, because we're both looking at it together like scientists, which is what this is all about.
Okay, and the problem is with that graph is, at what point on that graph is it considered mainstream? That's the part that's subjective. It depends on who's looking at it.
No. Well, there's a term in Greek philosophy that describes this, the art of practical judgment. We have to determine what's the threshold, and we have to determine that together. It's the process for that is known as phronesis.
At this time, we don't know what that is. We have not determined it. So at this time, it is a subjective idea.
That's why we debate and we figure it out. That's all we have is our ability to debate, discuss, and figure it out.
At this point, there's no sense in continuing the debate, because we have realized a threshold must be agreed upon. So, and even if me and you agree on a threshold, that doesn't mean everyone else is going to agree on it, because it's our opinion. Somebody else will have a threshold over here.
That we can agree to disagree and then revisit it later, because we're moving in the same direction, the same directional vector of change for the good of our people.
And once again, and we've gone full circle that, we can't figure that out at this time, because there is no definitive way to determine when something has gotten mainstream.
Why do you need, see, the question now becomes, why do you need everything to be completely determinative right now about what the future will be in the future? Because now we're getting to that.
Whoa. I didn't say any of that. I was just talking about determining when something has become mainstream and not. You're bouncing. I didn't say any of that.
But I told you how it works. I've told you how we do it and how we could come up with an approximation for what's going on. We can't read everybody's minds. Maybe someday we can. Maybe someday some of us can develop the ability. We can't do that. We have to use proxies and make reasonable estimations.
I agreed with you, man. You're letting your anger get away with you there. I didn't say you were wrong. I agree with you. I just said that we have not reached that consensus.
It's not anger, it's passion. We need men who are passionate again. That's what it's about. I love you, brother. If I'm angry at you, I'll let you know. Believe me,
then I'm saying, like, we should have moved on about 2 or 3 minutes ago, because friggin' I agree that we have not reached the consensus.
I'm going to defend my point of view, because I thought about these questions.
Okay, well, we haven't reached the consensus, so until we do, it's a nonsensical conversation.
We might not reach consensus on things, and that cannot be something that keeps us from action.
Yeah, you don't know anything, so you do what we fucking tell you, okay? Get it? You don't have the
good luck with that, Jen. Yeah, that's going to work well. You're going to get a lot of followers with that.
Fucking like it, or you're going to be stuck reincarnating forever for all the sins you've done.
Oh, God, I just can't get over the idea. Fuck, and that's how you're going to bring people in? Holy fuck. We're fucked. We're fucked. Everyone's going to be fucking reincarnating for fucking
How do you think the Catholic Church succeeded? Okay, go back. Let's do a historical experiment, how human psychology works. Why do you think the Catholic Church started making so much money in the Middle Ages? What doctrine did they invent about the afterlife? Purgatory.
Okay.
They told people you'll be stuck if you don't pay the church to sell you indulgences, to forgive your sins. You'll be stuck in the state of purgatory forever, where you might not be able to even go to heaven or hell, and you're just in prison. So they invented purgatory as a way to make a bunch of money, and the Vatican became rich enough to, provide us, Michelangelo and shit like that. It works. This is the game of religion.
Hold on, dude. Then, so what has that got to do with you convincing other people of your point?
Because we invent dogmas for simple-minded people to get them to change their behavior so that they wake up.
I know, but you don't have any simple dogmas. Dogmas are simple; they're easy for people to understand. You don't have any of that. You have a bunch of complicated.
Then it will be this: obey the priest class and do what they tell and believe what they believe, and you'll get what you need.
You're not running onto a raw field. You're not stepping onto a field, a blank slate. You're stepping onto a field where you got a fucking bunch of other enemies that are powerful, ruthless, and don't give a fuck. They will destroy you. If they actually feel like you're a threat, they will stomp you out.
That's why. Okay, let's go back to Hitler and why you like him and why he was great for his time. Okay, because we need to do Hitler times a million to get what we need. Okay? It's possible.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, what I love about Hitler was that when he walked in to the Nuremberg rallies, the crowd was as one. And Hitler was the sovereign exception above all.
Okay.
So Hitler was Germany and Germany was Hitler. As Carl Jung said, the unconscious of the 78 million Germans were expressed in one man. And that's what gave Germany its might.
Okay.
Now they encoded it within a very good ideology for its time, National Socialism.
Okay.
Right? We are going to supercharge that and not let ideology be the problem. So we're going to move to theocracy, which is a step beyond ideology. You believe in our gods. And I want to, and I don't know if Jen's with me, I prefer to restore our ancient gods under this framework. I prefer the Germanic gods because I'm very influenced by the Thule Society and what they were trying to do, Friedrich List, all this other stuff, and the Romantic period in general. I want to bind us much more tightly to our gods so that Jewish control, we will be inoculated from it. So we need our own theocracy to fight their own gods.
Do you believe in these gods? So you're going to sell ancient Norse
do. I'm a heathen. I'm not a Christian. I do believe Odin is a god. I think
I'm saying, are you talking about things like Norse paganism? What are the gods you're talking about?
Well, the god of wisdom is Wotan, is from Germanic and Norse paganism. Correct. Yeah, they are our gods.
Okay. Now, do you believe in those gods? Do you believe those are the gods ruling the universe?
No, the gods ruling our people. There's no personal gods ruling the universe.
Wait a minute. So I'm asking for you and Jen. Jen, do you believe in Wotan and Odin and those? Are those the gods that are supreme? Is that the real gods of your religion?
No, the real God is impersonal. It is.
So you're gonna sell. You're gonna sell what to these people? Shit you don't actually believe in. You're gonna lie to them.
I am not going to lie to them. My position is basically people are free to worship whatever tribal god they want, but they're not allowed to profess that that's the true God.
Okay, well, once again, your plan here that you two are talking about is fixing everybody by getting this religion, old, new, whatever, and everybody accepting it. Okay, and you're going to sell this to people. You're going to take them from the fucking belief systems they have and introduce them into this truth, and they're going to embrace it. And what I'm a little confused by is he just said, then why would you want to tell these people about these other gods? If they're not real, then why should they believe in them?
I am not teaching about these other gods. Other people are doing that, and I'm basically fine with it, but I draw the line at claiming supremacy. Okay, so I have proven reincarnation with quantum mechanics. It is an unfalsifiable proof. There is no argument against it. It is a fact.
then okay, then you shouldn't have. So if you guys, let's just say, I'm not putting that on you. Let's just say you guys are working together on this. Then it's probably not a good idea for him to be connected to you and running around and telling people about all these other gods like that. That would be a bad idea.
Because you're still working with the Christian programming.
No, dude. It's a bad idea because it's bullshit.
Okay, wait a minute. The Falcon, I see your point. I respect what you're saying. You may be right, but at this time, Gandalf has not made any type of special oath to me. So he's still in what you'd call like the, it's not even the initiation stage. It's like the tryout stage. So I'm not responsible for the things that he says. Now, if he decides to take an oath with me and become my devotee, then things will change at that point. But for now, it's not up to me to try to limit the range of discussion. And these tribal gods do have a place in your history. A lot of people feel that that's a way back to what it is that they've lost. And I'm not going to directly counter signal that, but just like I said, I'm going to draw the line when people start to assert dogmatic supremacism. I'm going to say, no, that is just not allowed.
Okay, now the two of you need to realize something. All right,
And
let's just say that you guys were in the first year one of your movement. You've got 600 people on board. Things are going good. Now you've just been publicly challenged over what he's teaching about. If that happens and you do what you just did publicly, your fucking religion is destroyed. Your work is gone because your credibility just flooded out the window. About time somebody says, oh, well, I'm not responsible for all the shit that he just said. Bam, you've just fucked up. You fucked up. You've been proven as deceptive. And then at the same time,
I'm not sure what's the exact issue that you're saying here. If he challenges me publicly?
No, I'm saying if somebody else challenges the things that he's doing, because he's advocating for the things that he learned in your blog.
But he's not.
I learned all
things all over the place. He's learned things all over the place. And if he wants to speak on my behalf, then he needs to take an oath with me, which will restrict the domain of what he's publicly allowed to discuss. Now, he hasn't done that, so there's no duty of anything.
Oh, I could be wrong. There's other people in the call here. I mean, if I misheard that, but I swear I heard a lot of "we believe" and "we're going to do this." I mean, if I'm wrong on that, okay. But I swear that's what I
agree with her on certain critical issues right now. She's right. And so I'm going to support her where she's right. I will criticize her where I disagree because I don't fucking follow anybody. That's just not my way. I'm a very rebellious person.
So what is this religious ideal based on?
Truth.
If somebody wanted to go and learn about this religious ideal for themselves, where would they need to go?
Well, I would suggest that they would do some inner study first and decide whether truth is the most important thing to them.
Decided, Jim. Somebody has decided. Where do they go? Where are you going to send?
In our tradition, okay, because it's an oral tradition, the master-student relationship is an integral part of the tradition. So your first step would be to go out and try to find a spiritual master willing to initiate you.
Okay, well, where would somebody look for one of those?
Well, have you ever heard the saying that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear?
Yeah, Jen, that's a nice saying, but that's kind of like saying fucking, one day, one day love will come or some shit like. I mean, fuck, Jen, what is that? Like, fuck, you're gonna tell that to somebody when it's time for it to be there, you will show up. I mean, it's like, and you're supposed to pull this off in 4 years? Fuck.
Well, not everybody. Going to become a devotee, right? Only very select group of people will become a devotee, but they'll have sufficient.
What's the difference between? Well, then are only the devotees going to benefit from all this truth and knowledge? Do you have to be a devotee to benefit?
No, everyone will benefit because it's a system that is maximally in line with nature, and so it will allow us to live within our means and what the planet can actually give us in terms of sustainability. It's
what's the difference? What's the difference between a devotee and then somebody else is just benefiting?
Well, the devotee benefits more and there's more of a commitment, whereas, the commoner benefits in the sense that they have a better quality of life, they have a better quality of knowledge, overall things are more comfortable, and the society reflects what it is that they want. And I think the best part of it is that I'm not basically interested in forcing people to convert. So they're free to basically go on a path of knowledge whenever they want. So I think just having that door open for when you're ready is extremely liberating, because not everyone's really ready to like achieve enlightenment, right? Most people are more interested in materialism of some sort.
So where does somebody go if they want to start on the path of this truth? Where do they need to go to learn this shit?
Well, the first step, honestly, is to purify yourself. And you want to pray to God, and you want to pray to a God that you can believe in. And if you don't believe in any God, I would say consider the universe to be God, because the universe created everything. And humble yourself before that large S. And basically, if you spend enough time doing that, because the mind is a quantum computer, it has magnetic capabilities, and that will attract you magnetically towards a teacher that is capable of giving you the initiation that will bring you to the next level.
Wow. Fuck. And this is supposed to happen in 4 years? Holy shit.
It's not going to happen for everybody in 4 years, but some people are a lot closer than others.
You need enough people to friggin' repel the system, okay? And that's a lot. That's more than 1,000 for damn sure.
Some people will just need to be soldiers who obey a general.
Wait a minute. Okay, here's the thing. I'm not about that. Like you're one day. So these soldiers, are they just useful idiots, or do they mean something? Are they
No, they're an integral part. They're an integral part. They're just not ready to become priest class. So they're soldiers for a while, and then they eventually move up to the priest class.
Okay, well, to even be a soldier, you've got to do all this soul searching and shit to the point where the universe will provide a teacher for you.
Or you just obey the lawful authority.
Well, hold on. The lawful authority is not you guys. To get the authority to become the lawful authority, you need these soldiers.
Yeah, correct? I know.
Okay. Well, then you're not the lawful authority. They're not obeying your law. Okay. So it doesn't make any sense. You're going to tell these guys something that it needs to come to them naturally. And then when do they become your soldiers? At what point, what is the level of knowledge when they become a soldier, when they become a not devotee, but just a soldier? What is the level of knowledge?
When they accept reincarnation, basically.
So that's all they have to do. They just have to accept reincarnation happens. That's it.
Like accepting Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior. It's about doing the spiritual work.
Look at how much power these other religions have. They have that power because they tell people, they basically bribe people with this idea of heaven. If we can break people of that spell, they will have no choice but to submit themselves to the people who have the capacity to enlighten them, because they're all going to, on some level, want a way out of it.
Okay, fine, but once again, we're right back to, your information involves a lot of complicated shit and a shitload of hard work.
Yeah, well, these things take a lot of work, but at the end of the day, people make decisions based on something called mass hysteria. Have you ever heard of something called the 100th monkey effect?
Yeah.
Well, that's essentially all you need. 100 people to believe the exact same thing, and pretty much overnight, everybody else will believe it too.
That's got to do with a lot of people being at certain points within the world, within the 100 monkey effect. And I don't think you can do the same comparison on there. How many people do you have so far?
Oh, I've got lots.
Jen, come on. You need 100 for everything to change. How many do you have so far? That's not that fucking intrusive of a question. I'm not asking who they are, what their
I know about 10 of them. I know probably about 10 of them.
10. And are these devotees
who associate in her circle? People who associate with her, because my level with Jen is I just associate with her. I'm not a part of her cult. I'm not a part of a religion. We agree on a lot of things, though. We have
they
extraordinarily
devotees or
strong
soldiers?
agreement.
I mean, are they devotees or soldiers?
What they are is associates.
I have associates. I have associates. I have students, and I have devotees. But at the end of the day, people need to look inside themselves and decide: do I want self-governance, or do I want to be governed by an alien group? That's the only decision you have to make.
Okay, and once again, a lot of subjective shit there, but I'm talking about results. And you need 100 people. How many do you have?
How about
Again,
things that are
you can only sell people subjective shit for so long. At some point, you have to produce a solid result for them to see.
Well, I proved reincarnation, and I proved the periodic table's three-dimensional, which is pretty impressive.
How many has that brought you? How many has that brought you that are at the level where they're soldiers, and you need 100 of them? So how many do you have?
Well, technically, I don't need 100 soldiers. I need 100 people who are willing to basically do something that will cause everyone to change their minds.
How many do you have?
I haven't actually tried to recruit anybody. I mean,
so you don't have anyone.
I have tons of people that I influence.
No. I'm talking about you need to get these people to do something. You know, you just said how many of those do you have?
I have
that are going to do this thing.
I have no clue. I haven't called on them.
So you have. So as far as I'm concerned, you have nobody. So in reality, you don't know. So you have nobody because you're not sure about them. So you have nobody. Technically, yeah. I mean, come on. You just said you don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I have nobody.
Then how many do you have?
I don't keep track. I'm sorry. It's not how I work.
You can't even give me a rough estimate. You think you have 5? You think you have 10?
It's not that many people. Okay. Does that make it better?
More than, well, no, this is important shit, Jen. You're talking about, this is a war. You're talking about an enemy you're talking about a field with this real life consequences people take to their graves. This is serious shit. And this is not that crazy of a question. This should not be that offensive to you. It's just a somewhere. Can you give us something? More than 10, less than 20, more than 20, less than, I mean, come on, give us a ballpark.
You're talking to one of them who's being strongly influenced, but has his own views right here.
Is he one of the ones that are going to do this action? Do you consider him at the level you're talking about? Is he one of the ones, Jen?
I would.
For what it is that you're talking about, I haven't actually, the thing is that timing is important, right? So there's different phases. I'm not in the phase that you're talking about. That will happen in the future. So here's the problem, okay? If I initiate the wrong person, they could potentially down the line fuck me over severely, right?
I'll give that to you. Yep. Fucking A. You got a plan, you would do it with the wrong person, you're fucked. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I know. So there has to be a period of getting to know people, understanding what their intentions are, understanding what the likelihood of them becoming corrupted is. And the same way with them, they have to put their trust in me 100%. That takes time. So there's many of those relationships that are in the process of being built. And there's people, because I had a religious organization in my past life, I can draw on people who are still influenced by that. So it's not so much an issue of that, because those people, I'm sure they're out there. It's an issue of people actually like you and people like Bruce.
No, Jen. Before you could even get close to a guy like me, you need to get the 100 going. I mean, shit. But forget the guys like me. Do you know how many guys are like me out there? The fucking most of the population.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
And you're basically saying, mind control me. That's what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Jen. I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you about logistics. Okay, I'm asking you. You told me what needs to happen. You told me what you need. You told me where it has, and then I'm asking you, how many do you have? And like you avoiding I mean, thank God we're doing this now, because you better not do this later when it's important and there's a bunch of people standing around listening, because you're going to be in bad shape. You're fucking up big time, because you need to be able to give concrete answers. You're going to lead and inspire people. You need to be able to look and go, I got this. This is how many it's got to be done. Yep, I can provide this right now. No, I'm not ready for that. I mean, you can't do that. You've been kind of like, I mean, that's not good.
Jen is not a political dictator. You're looking at her like she's a political dictator. That's the subtext of your question.
No, I'm looking at solving the problem
side of things, which is more important. Hence why we need a theocracy. We need people that are devoted to that. I mean, I'm not going to follow Jen right now as like a devotee, because I nearly was sucked into another cult situation, which you can study, which is Kurt Doolittle's propertarianism. He was trying to run a cult on people, and he was trying to run mind control. I figured it out, broke out of the cult, and it caused me a lot of problems about a month ago, which made me think, gee, I need to get more involved with this, because I don't want bad cults and bad actors in our movement, because I'm totally devoted to having a world which our uncle had tried to give us, but he didn't, because he didn't have the right people around him, and he wasn't woke enough himself on some of these things.
Okay. And now here's the thing. I'm going back to this. Jen says these problems can be stopped when everybody accepts reincarnation. When enough people, not everybody, when enough people accept it, all of a sudden the changes will start to happen and things will start getting better. And then I asked, and she said, well, I need about 100, and I can make shit happen. And then I asked, how many of these 100 do you have? And you didn't say none, but at the same time, you couldn't tell me.
Let's say hypothetically I have 100. Are you saying you would rather I force change your mind with my group of 100 spiritual warriors? You would rather that than you just voluntarily changing your own mind?
Jen, when did I say it? Jen, you said that you could start making the change and start fixing things once you get the 100 to do this act that you don't want to mention. Fine. And so it's important to know, when are you going to be able to do that? Because earlier when I was talking, I said, we're on a time crunch. My people are on a time crunch. And you guys are trying to sell this other religious ideal. Now I have a weapon. What you're talking about is a weapon. You have a weapon. You have a weapon you say can beat the enemy. It can beat the enemy. It's battle tested. It can do it. And I'm like, okay, when can you give me a demonstration of this weapon? And you're explaining that to me. That's what you're saying. A demonstration of the viability of this weapon to sell to everybody else is reliant on you reaching this 100-person level.
Well, that's the thing. If you believe me about my story with the social justice warriors, I'm already on the level of influencing the entire discourse.
And Jen, we already went through that. I don't believe you. Did you not listen to our conversation? We reached an impasse. So no, I don't believe you.
So nothing I'm going to say is going to change anything. If you don't have faith, there's no point even talking about it.
So Jen, if you get challenged on something, you're just going to tell people, well, fuck, you can't prove nothing, so don't worry about it. Is what you're going to say?
Well, I suppose it depends what I'm being challenged on.
Okay, all I'm challenging you on, and I don't really even challenge you, I'm just asking for information, is what is the crucial point? What is the point when you will have enough people to start making this change? And you said 100. Oh, is that right?
I said the 100 monkey effect. Right now, tomorrow, I have enough people that are loyal to me that I could basically be a shoo-in, right? But we need the popular opinion needs to be on our side to get the central banks, right? So that and reincarnation are the things to focus on.
So hold on. So how are you? So popular opinion. Okay. How many do you need to have be considered popular opinion?
I guess more than 50% who believe fervently about reincarnation and are willing to defend it.
Okay. And how many do you have so far?
Well, I don't keep track of how many people believe in reincarnation. When people accept reincarnation, I'll know. Okay. But it hasn't happened yet. And people like you.
So you'll only know.
People like you are the ones who are going to make it happen. So You need
So
to make it.
wait a second, but Jen, you want me to follow you. You want me to follow this, and I'm just trying to get some answers out of you. You're making it really difficult. Okay,
How
so
about
so
studying issues?
because you have to have an end goal. You have to have an end goal. And I'm like, okay, what's the end goal? What's the process? And you really haven't defined the end goal very well, kind of, but the process you're not defining at all. You're leaving the process very vague. It's kind of like the process is a need to know basis. Well, fuck. It's kind of hard to
Can
get
I
people
tell
to
you
go
what
up
my end
against the
goal
limit.
is?
Huh?
How about I tell you what my end goal is? Because I'm different than Jen, and
Well, no,
I don't
hold on,
want.
but this is one thing at a time, man. Jen, I want to get this out of her because she's the arbiter of truth on this. Most of what you're getting from, you got from Jen, so I want to get it from Jen. That's nothing to say about you, man, but it's important. I need to know this. So I really like Jen to answer this question. How are you gonna get these? How are you gonna get that 50%? And you're not going to know you've got the 50% until you reach 50%. Will you know when you're close to 50%, or do you have to reach 50%?
By having these conversations. How do you think people change their minds?
Okay. Well, so basically, are you keeping track? Are you writing these down of what the names of the people? Because it doesn't seem like you are.
Why would
Numbers are important.
Why would I keep a list of names?
Well, do you have a tally? Is there a place where you're like making scratches into the wall? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 / because numbers are important. You need 50%.
I monitor social trends on 4chan and I follow what people are talking about on that.
Wow. So, this was like asking this was like if I asked Richard Spencer, explain to me how many alt-right people you have that are going to lead the white revolution and free our people. Well, let me check 4chan. That's basically what you just said to me. Fuck.
4chan sort of tells you a lot about what people are thinking. And if you want to control a country or a people, you have to basically control what they're thinking. And right now, everybody's thinking, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to be the dictator, da-da-da-da-da. People need to quiet their minds and get comfortable with the idea that when you die, you come back afterwards over and over and over. And when that happens, people will change.
Okay. And are you going to be able to do that in this lifetime?
I think so. I mean, I proved reincarnation with quantum mechanics, so it's not like anyone can really deny it.
Well, you got to prove that to somebody else that doesn't want to know it. A lot of people that don't want to know it.
Yeah, but the thing is, like in their past lives, they believed it at some point. So really,
they don't remember that shit. They don't remember that shit.
But the information is still there in your genetics, and it's just a matter of you going back to it.
Well, dude, how are they going to go back to it when they don't even know to look for it there? So how is?
Hello?
You kind of cut off. I didn't catch the end of what you said there.
I tried putting a few things in the chat. Like, why can't people just be open-minded? People have to be open-minded. There aren't easy answers. That's part of the struggle of this thing. And the more people fight against wanting to be open-minded, the harder this is to get. Open your mind. I probably, and Jen will say this, most people who talk to me online in real life or in real life will tell you I'm an extremely open-minded person. My capability intellectually is on the, everyone talks about IQ and race realism. Mine's around 145 to 150. Less than 1% of the population has my raw cognitive power. Mine's a little more verbal than mathematical, but I'm in on 1% cognitively. I can tell you that. And that's the truth. The quality of my thinking, I think, shows that to people who converse with me. I mean, so just be open-minded. I'm open-minded to Jen. I like a lot of what she says. A lot of what she says, I still question, and I'm still working on it. But on core things, saving our people, redoing our religion, I'm in complete agreement with her. I want to redo the religion slightly differently, but her main stipulation that we don't declare a supreme God is an important one if we're going to fight against the Abrahamic monotheisms, which make us all subservient to a supreme God made by a group of races and peoples that are alien to our own. Jen, can you help me? Hello?
Sure. I don't see him anymore on the chat. I don't think he's here.
Oh, he
I-
left.
yeah, I think
I'm trying to defend how I interpret your views, and they're very. I think I'm a very rational case. I tried to make it very reasonable.
Yeah, and you're doing a good job, and these things are difficult, and so it pays to kind of study the background and understand that like transitions take. There's a period of preparation, and then it happens quickly. So people need to prepare themselves, which is not happening. It's just this LARPing stuff, and it's like.
See, Jen, my thing is, okay, and I don't know what this is going to be. I need right now, because I'm working on some media projects that are convincing people to change their minds publicly about and politically about some things. I'm doing lots of real work. People think I'm just LARPing, shaking my dick off, reading books all day, wanting money. Although I suggested people might want to donate to me someday because I'm fucking going to make myself a public figure and fucking help people out. One of the things I need badly, is people I can trust who are loyal, who will do things that I need to get done. Because I'm really trying. My goal is to either be or more likely to find a physical military dictator to take over this country in 2024. Because we need that person to be a part of the nested hierarchy in the new system we're trying to rebuild to save our people. So my mission is now open. I've let you know what I want to have. By 2024, we need a dictator. I'm devoted to helping to find him and the movement which will sustain it and support us, because we cannot have neoliberal, capital, consumerist globalism. That system is killing us. We can elect Donald Trump. We can elect Andrew Yang. We can elect Joe Biden. It does not matter. It needs to go. And if you're not fanatically devoted to that, you're not really understanding what it's going to take to save our people. Our people need peace, order, and prosperity. No corruption in government. We're going to move as close to zero corruption as humanly possible. We need a system which allows our people to breed in peace without alien peoples attacking us and taking our shit. And I don't know whether we need to fight wars or not, but we definitely need peace through strength, where our order dominates, because our people are the best positioned to terraform the ecology and get us to outer space so that we can evolve as a species and as a people. I mean, I don't understand anybody else who hasn't articulated a bigger or better or more succinct social political vision for our people. My name in real life means victory of the people. I'm living according to how I know my mission on this planet to be, and I wish people would just want to listen and imagine alongside of me, and the answers will then appear.
Everybody wants to know the truth, but nobody wants to know it from you.
For me?
That wasn't. No, it wasn't. Dude, that's just a statement I heard one time. It's kind of true. Everybody wants to know the truth, but nobody wants to learn it from you. That goes for all of us. All of us are in that situation.
Of course. But I'm open. Like, I've already told you, like, I realized that my thought about what we could do with Bitcoin was probably wrong based on like how you explained it to me from a different point of view. We're all convincing each other, and I am open-minded. I am not the answer man. But I do have an image and a vision. The vision I laid out, would you like it by 2024? We had a military dictator backed by, something like the Thule Society. Let's just to use this as a thought experiment, a Thule Society that's more theocratic and organized, so that the military dictatorship has more stability. Would you want that by 2024, so that we can do
No,
what we can not make the mistake we made in the 20th century?
that here's the thing, man. And I'm not saying it's just you don't know your audience on that. I mean, think about it, man. What have I said based on the things that you've heard from me in the last several hours? What would you guess I might want? I mean, you think you'd have an idea?
How about I see the German plane? I respect
dude, you're more too complex, man. Do you think I would like to not see Jews here anymore? Would that would be something I would probably want? Do you think I would like to see a nation with just white people in it? Yeah, that's probably something I would want too. And that's what I'm getting at, man. Is no, I mean everything you've talked about, none of it mentions anything that someone like me is going to want. You know, a military dictator. What military dictator? What military?
A military dictator is going to take care of our people because our people need protection.
Military's part of the problem, man. Freaking dude, military does not make a man out of people.
I said a military dictatorship.
Dude,
don't.
The military is part of the problem.
I get that. I need you to just wipe away your preconceptions and use some imagination. Would you want by 2024 a military dictatorship that works and serves our people?
No.
Do you want that or not?
No, it does not sound appealing at all. Too
so
dangerous.
Then you don't want it.
No, I don't want that.
Our people need to have this continent for ourselves, and we might need to do it by force. And I need that.
But that doesn't, dude. It's not what you say. You just said, "Do I want a military dictator?" And no, not unless he comes with a bunch of other shit. You know, fuck. And even
we're working on building the other shit. Come on.
Well, what is the
other shit?
What is this guy bringing? Is he going to get rid of the Jews? Is he going to get rid of the Jews?
It depends on what the Jews are doing.
Dude,
I prefer that they not have my only position. Because there's a lot of things I do not know. I'm honest about my ignorance. That's the one problem with right-wing movements is people don't surrender their ego and be honest about their ignorance. I do not know fully what I will do with the JQ. I realize it's a problem and that they should not rule over us. They should not be in charge of our media, our banking, and all these other institutions that have corrupted our society. We should not rule over them and they should not rule over us. That's probably something we can agree on maybe 99.9% of the time. I want to just solve the problem. I have no ego attached to being right or being the leader or being the focus. I just want to get everyone focused on the problem. That's all I do. Focus on the problem, get a solution, because I need to continue my family's bloodline.
Okay, then are you willing to follow somebody else?
I am if they're legitimate.
Okay, then
I will help find that person and follow them. Okay, I will help find and follow that person if necessary. I am not, my ego is not attached to being the leader. It's not.
Do you know of any other plan out there? Do you know of any other plan other than the one you just talked about?
I do not know, but I'm trying to create a vision to unite people. I'm trying to create a vision to unite people.
Does anybody else have a plan?
My role in that vision.
Does anybody else have a plan? What are the other plans available?
That's why I'm talking to you.
A lot of people want to do, quote, national socialism, but that won't work for a number of reasons. And the main reason is that the only system of government that's sustainable is a theocratic dictatorship.
Okay. What are the other plans? Are there any other plans out there that plausibly could work? Any others?
For what we need to fight against a religious enemy, a theocracy is a good start.
So there's no other plans other than the ones you got.
No, there's other plans, but I can tell you why those won't work.
Okay, what are the other plans? Can you at least tell me what the other plans are?
Well, there's a number of things. There's National Socialism. That's a popular one. Propertarianism.
Yep.
Christian revivalism. Islamic. Well, Claire has her secular Quranism.
Well, I'm
or
saying
some
that
type of military dictatorship.
there's no other plan that can work but yours. That's what you're saying. None of them other ones are plausible.
What
No
I'm
other
saying
plans
is
but
that what I'm promoting has worked throughout history, and it's the only system that can work long term because it's the only one that's subversion proof. And I can explain to you how the other systems get subverted, and so can the historical record.
Okay, what's the historical record? What is the historical record where your system has been used?
Well, my system basically ruled the world until about 5,000 years ago when it fell into decay.
Okay.
And at that point, other groups got ideas that they could run things. And I think a lot of people, I think what it came down to is people were bored of being in an ordered society. So they thought maybe it'll be more fun if we create chaos. But now, in a way, this is kind of like a lesson. It's like you may not have liked living in an ordered society because you got bored, but being a little bit bored is a hell of a lot better than being in a constant state of war with barbaric values permeating society and no guards against degeneracy.
I don't know. I have a hard time wrapping my head around that, but one thing at a time. Okay, you said historical record proves your point. Is there anywhere can go to achieve this historical record?
Well, unfortunately, certain people have been doing their best to destroy the historical record, but there is a fair amount of archaeological evidence.
So there is no historical record to look at.
You're cutting out quite a bit.
Well, no, I'm just going off what you said. You said the historical record proves your point, but I'm asking, okay, well, how does the historical record prove your point? You can't show it anyway.
Well, who do you think built the pyramids in Egypt? Who do you think built all those gigantic castles in
That's
India?
not a record. Jen, but you got to prove this to people. You can't, you know.
But all this
Don't you
stuff
think
is
it's
true. You're just trying to show resistance.
You know, you give people shit for being naive and following foolish things. Well, fuck. I mean, you want people to have faith in something that they can't review, can't learn about, don't know where to go find it at, and they have to do a bunch of introspection before somebody will come to them and teach them all the things that they need to know if they just prepare themselves to be ready for it. You can't quite blame, what's necessary for praying. Okay, pray who? Well, you're not ready to know that yet. Well, fuck.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. You're kind of roboting. I didn't really hear what you said there. I'm sorry.
I apologize, Jen. I'm just saying that I don't see how you're going to convince people, because only somebody that was rather foolish and naive would follow something that they don't know anything about, can't learn about, can't describe, and can't offer any physical proof whatsoever to. But they're going to say that this is the ultimate way.
Proof that you have to learn.
What?
There are methods of proof you have to learn. You just need to be open-minded. We will teach you,
but
open-minded.
And open-minded in this proof, you can't tell me where I need to go learn this proof at.
Well, do you want to read a lot?
I just asked for that earlier. I asked Jen, where do people go and learn this evidence?
Well, you need to both read a lot, but you also need to talk to someone who's also read a lot, who's credible.
Okay, and where do I read all this information out, and who's credible?
Well, it depends what subjects you want to learn about. Human knowledge is vast.
I want to learn, this person wants to learn the ultimate truth. Send them to the cream of the crop. Don't.
Well, you can start with the sacred texts of the Indo-Aryan peoples.
I would
send you this
link in the chat. I just put a link in the chat. I would suggest reading that first.
Okay, well, where did you send me? What is it?
It's in the chat for the Hangout.
I mean, you can't tell me what it is. Where did you send me? What is it that somebody's going to read?
In the group chat it's in the group chat on the website.
I know, but you can't tell me. I know where it's at. I'm just asking. You can't say what it is. Where is it going to take me? Where's it going to take me?
You the light of truth. That's what the name of the book is.
Damn, Jen, that sounds like how a fucking enemy fucked us up in the first place. I mean, dude, I would yell at somebody. I'd be like, what did you do? Well, I looked into some religious stuff. Shit, looking into religious stuff really fucked us up at one time. What did you look into? Where did you go poking around? Well, this person told me to just follow this trail, and it was going to take you where? Well, they wouldn't really say. So you went off and looked into something potentially dangerous to our society based on something you don't know, somebody you don't know telling you to walk down here and wouldn't give you the answer where you're going. Fuck.
Okay, can I try this a different way? Because I don't totally agree with Jen here, because there is such a thing as disagreement, and I still have to work through these ideas. Because I agree with her in method, but maybe not in every single belief, okay? I think her method is correct, and I think having a theocracy is the right form of government. That's where I agree with
but
you.
I'm getting at, why don't you think it's kind of freaking bad that she can't tell me where that's going to take me? She just wants me to go.
Because
But she
you
won't
have to
tell me
do
where-
inner exploration. This is a sacred text she sent you.
She can't tell me the name of it or anything. Is she afraid to say it
Well,
online? Is
it's
it going to sound
Sanskrit for
ridiculous?
light of truth.
Take me to Jim's blog? Am I going to end up in Jim's blog when I fucking click
I
that link? Is that where it's going to take me?
Name. I already told you the name of the book.
What is it?
The Light of Truth.
And who wrote it?
Swami Dayananda.
Person living or dead?
Well, he's dead in that form. He was killed.
Okay. All right. And this is who you follow?
Follows probably the wrong word.
How many people? How many is somebody gonna have to reach your level?
Is there?
Okay, don't forget that. How many books is somebody
Is there
gonna have to go
somebody
through before
go,
they're ready to
like-
become a soldier?
You keep roboting. Is there somewhere you can? Is there some way to get better internet? Because I'm having a really hard time hearing you.
That's a tough situation. Sorry about that. Saying where can you? How many books? How many books is somebody gonna have to read before they reach the point where a teacher will come and teach them enough information to become a soldier?
I don't think you really need anything to be a soldier other than faith in the theocracy.
Well, Jen, there must be. You don't have any at this time, so there must be a level you have to reach. There must be a way to tell.
What do you mean?
And do you have any soldiers at this time or not?
I'm not looking for soldiers at this time.
Uh,
So I guess that means that
what
I don't
What are you looking for at this time?
a priesthood, obviously. But that's not even really
Okay.
true. I already have enough people to run that. I'm just doing what I always do, and eventually the ideas will get out there and people will assimilate. I'm not worried.
So you don't have a plan, and you don't know how to tell when. Yeah, that's a problem, Jen. I mean, holy shit! And how are you going to say? How is this going to achieve victory? It is the vaguest shit I've ever heard.